Stingray Music app and listen wherever you go.
Have your sports curiosity cured.
And swept it back at left wing point. Nurse with a snapshot. And it's 1-0 Edmonton.
A veteran of the sports reporting game for over 25 years.
Second down and 6. Herbert to the air. Hipkins the block at the right tackle. Got away from Allen. Herbert alive in the throw. Colton's down. Touchdown. What a play.
Breaking down Edmonton's favorite teams.
Turnover, it's a loss of 13. So a second and long. Paterno just sets up a screen to Justin Rankin. Oh, Rankin could be gone. He's gone. Touchdown Edmonton on one big play, 72 yards. And we've seen that before from number 5.
This is Sports 1440 and the Kevin Karius Show.
All right, here we go for Soul 506, Tuesday, September the 23rd, NHL preseason hockey. Tonight in Winnipeg with the Oilers taking on the Jets. A wild Monday night football game between Titanic teams. And a lot of reaction. The CFL with a historic day with several rule changes. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Kevin Karius Show. I'm so glad that you checked in with us. Tuesday, and man, oh man, we got some outstanding weather once again moving into what is the final week of September, is it not? Well, thanks so much for checking in on your AM radio dial on your morning drive into work on Sports 1440. We're streaming now on YouTube right now. We're checking things out as well on X. You can find us video-wise. All the apps are there. Radio Player Canada app. So many ways to find us. And if you miss any part of any show, you can just find us where the apps hang out and all the podcasts hang out on Google, Apple, Spotify, everywhere pretty well. Just check it out, download, subscribe. It's free. Select the auto download and give us a click, and we would really appreciate that for sure. Boy, oh boy, so many things happening in the world of sports yesterday, in the sense of the CFL made the major announcement at 11 o'clock and all of the reaction poured in, did it not? And then the Monday Night Football game, Detroit and Baltimore. It was a very, very close game till Detroit busted things out. Boy, Sonic and Knuckles had some kind of game. David Montgomery, 151 yards, 2 TDs. Jamar Gibbs had 2 TDs, 67 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 7 catches for 77 and a touchdown. And for the second time in really 3 weeks, the Baltimore Ravens saw somebody run the ball down their throats, because this has happened twice so far in 3 weeks for them. Detroit just looked like we did see them last year. Take away their first game there, this year they blow out in week 2, and then in week 3 they got a situation where they come up on the road and nobody picked them on all the panels. I didn't pick him yesterday with the Duke, and the Duke gets the one game pick, and he draws closer in our little contest. But my Detroit looks so good in Baltimore. When you think about how many times, 7-8 sacks they put Lamar Jackson on the ground. It was a game where Detroit made a statement on the road. And again, we started things off yesterday with a very historic day in the CFL, where Commissioner Stuart Johnson made a lot of new rule changes. I think everyone knows what they are. We're not going to run down them all. There was a lot of reaction, and Nathan Rourke was probably the most vocal of it out in BC, calling them garbage. And I think more of the players, and even Mike O'Shea wasn't happy with he had some comments on the local radio station in Winnipeg. I think the way it was handled without any discussion, but there would have been enough pushback that the players and management probably would have said, coaches would have said, we don't want to have the changes. We don't want to see them. So I think the commissioner, Stuart Johnson, was held up to task here, and he made a big splash in his first year. Now, the one thing that I will say about Stuart Johnson, when everything I saw yesterday, I was extremely disappointed, very disappointed in how he used some of these rule changes, especially the 35-second clock in the Edmonton Elks game in Hamilton on Saturday night. Most specifically, Johnson said the last $1.45 of this game took about 11 minutes of real time in your lifetime, is what he called it. They played 145 in the 11 minutes. But he's so inaccurate in how those 11 minutes were broken down. For one, the 35-second play clock, had that been instituted, wouldn't have been that big of a difference at the early stages of that drive, because there were incompletions, there were out of bounds. And had they whistled in that 35-second play clock, you can go back and look at it. It's a matter of a couple of seconds. But then there is an injury to Tyreek Johnson for the Elks. That took a couple of minutes. There were 2, I believe, 3rd and 1 conversions. So that meant that Hamilton needed 3 downs to get to where they were going. There was a Jordan Williams roughing the passer. That took 2-3 minutes. That was a booth review. So for the commissioner to say it took 11 minutes and we can be better at that for the last 145, he's incorrect. So incorrect, it's not even funny. Hamilton took a timeout late. Williams got hurt again. So those were 2 more things. The Elks challenged a PI. So you can't say that 145 took 11 minutes of real time when you add in all these factors. So the commissioner, for him to say that, I thought was disappointing, misinformed. The only time on that drive where the play clock, had it been at 35 seconds, like the new rule that's going to come into place next year, was on the very last play of the game, and that was the field goal attempt. And basically they went over about 10 seconds. But did it matter? Because to me, one of the stupidest rules in the CFL is when the clock goes down to 0 and you still can run a play. And that's what happened on the final play of the game, where if you were looking at the play clock, it was 45 seconds by the time that the last play stopped, by the time they kicked the field goal. That would be 10 seconds more. But it wouldn't matter anyway, because you got zeros on the clock. Yes, it would matter. You have to get the play off. Yes, it would matter in that sense. But there's no rush. I mean, they could have easily got that play off in the 35 seconds. To me, the bigger concern is I hate it when the clock goes down to 0 and you're kicking a field goal. That never made sense to me. But there was a lot of reaction along the lines in the CFL across the country. To me, the bigger thing is the commissioner saying that this is going to add 60 more touchdowns. I don't see that happening with the field goal post being moved back. What I see more is turnovers on downs, because let's just use the 33-yard line as the yard line in question here as a 3rd and long situation. Well, what are you going to do? I don't know. The best kicker in the CFL, is it Sergio Castillo? Because most guys don't have the leg in this league to consistently hit 55-yard plus field goals. They just don't have it. Castillo's done it. He's a 60-yard guy. But if you're on the 33-yard line and you're 3rd and 10, what are you going to do? Are you going to punt it? Are you going to gamble on 3rd and 10? If you punt it, are you going to just squib it, or just have a little coffin corner if you can and try to pin him back and gain the 25 yards or so? Is that what you're going to do? Because I think there'll be more 3rd and long opportunities that they think that are going to be gambling. If you're 3rd and 10, what are you going to do? I think they're going to kick it. I think they're going to go back from the 50-yard line, and Jake Julian's going to try to coffin corner the kick instead of what would have been a shorter field goal. I just don't see too many guys with the leg of 55 yards. Nathan Rourke, though, very adamant about the changes in the rules. Under 3 minutes needs tweaking. Under 3 minutes, they got to figure this out. That needs tweaking. So, hey, let's welcome in the Duke of Delburne on a Tuesday morning. There are some cracks in this. I mean, I know what the commissioner and the league is trying to do. I don't think the players were very happy that about not being consulted about this. We're going to have Justin Dunk come on at 8:20. He's going to have some really good reaction, I would imagine. But, I mean, you guys had the news conference from the commissioner at 11, Duke.
Mm-hmm.
And then I assume people were texting in right away.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty rare on a Monday show of Fantasy Frenzy that it isn't just flooded with reactions from the NFL slate from the previous day. The players that disappointed or carried teams on route to victory, of course, in advance of Monday Night Football. But yeah, after we aired the presser, which was most of the first segment, it was the text line dominated by both messages on either side of the coin, and plenty right down the middle, enjoying some of the changes that were laid out, maybe displeased with others, but you got both extremes as well. Some of these extremes are not new sentiments. They've been out there forever saying that, never change the CFL. That's what makes it great, is that all these unique rules and quirks. And now people, like one guy texted saying was canceling his tickets, canceling his Elks season tickets now because of these changes heading into as early as next season. Other people on the train that the CFL stinks and why does it even bother still existing? It should just be a development league for the NFL. So it's kind of funny that when we often talk about, because the Elks are again mired in another disappointing season, right? The playoffs not going to happen. That we say, that at this time of year, nobody really cares about the Elks. And if we talk CFL, it's usually as a matter of just doing so to do so, because they are still a local team in active competition. But if nothing else, yesterday proves that there is still a big fan base for it here, and a passionate one at that. I kind of come out that the changes are necessary, at least in some way or another.
What I'm saying, you got the ball on the 33 to 35 yard line, ballpark. What are you doing on 3rd and 9?
I think people will try the field goal.
Oh, I don't think so. Not here. Blanchard doesn't have the leg to consistently hit 55 to 58 yard field goals. I think that's where you are. Maybe you're going to gamble and you take your lumps if you don't make the 9 yards or 10 yards, or Jake Julian tries for a coffin corner punt.
Well, yeah, you could try the punts, I guess, but like if you think about if you're there's going to have to be some adaptation on special teams, that if you are trying long field goals, you need gunners on the field essentially to try. Like, you can't just be focused on you still got to be worried about blocking in order to try make a decent field goal attempt, but you need to also have gunners in motion essentially to that in the case you are short, to try and still salvage the Rouge point. And the Rouge point, to me, we talked about it yesterday, how to me that jumped out as the number one thing that I would have liked to see addressed by the league, and it did. And it's not eliminated, but it is adapted, that it does take away some of the reward for just failure. To quote the commissioner in a phrase he used yesterday in his presser. So I was a really big fan of that, and I think it will require teams to get a little more creative and thoughtful in what they do in some of these situations. But to your exact point here, Kevin, I think there's definitely a lot of validity to what you're saying, that it will result in probably just more turnovers in the kind of that no man zone. And
I can't see it happen. Like, again, who's got the best leg in the CFL? Is it Castillo?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know he's cracked a 60-yarder this year. But other guys, who's the best CFL kicker percentage-wise in the history? Is it Sean White?
Off the top of my head, he would be the first name that I guess.
Sean White, and obviously but Sean White was never, ever a 55, 58-yarder. Anything inside 50 is money. Okay, so are you going to roll out Sean White from the 35-yard line to kick? Well, from the 35-yard line.
55-yard field goal.
It's a 57-yard field goal from the 35. Are you going to roll him out? No,
probably
not going to make it.
And so I guess maybe that would beg the question: is this almost another because the phrase got thrown around a lot yesterday, and it was by our own Declan Kruger, amongst others, the Americanization of the game, that this is because in the NFL, and yes, they use a smaller ball, but to make a 55-yard field goal should be automatic at this point, right? We're talking
there,
we're talking 60-yard is in most kickers' bag. I'm not saying they're automatic from 60, but it's definitely in the bag. Is this a push towards trying to get that level of kicking and at least distance-wise into this league? Is it possible? Is it feasible with the larger ball?
I don't again. I don't see the ball flying off the feet of the kickers in the CFL like people see it in the NFL. That's just a fact.
Maybe we just need better kickers.
The ball doesn't come off the foot like that.
So. No, and I get that. I do. I'm not trying to be intentionally ignorant about the fact, but I just think that certain changes had to be made, and while doing so, I think they took a little bit of a gamble on maybe some other changes at the same time.
Like I say, I'm okay, to be honest with you, with a lot of the stuff. The 35-second play clock, there are discrepancies there. But I went through the game tape too.
Yeah, and you're right. Maybe
it
was kind of a bit of a cheeky example used to try and drive home his point. But to me, the play clock is kind of almost a non-starter, because when you talk about the inconsistency and when winding the clock and substitutions of thing, I don't really see it being actually that much of a difference.
Well, and then the other thing, like if you look in the CFL, Percival Stadium in Montreal, that's McGill runs that. Okay, in Calgary, McMahon Stadium, UFC runs that. So now what are U Sports going to do? What are amateur sports?
Because the U Sports did make a release yesterday saying that they're going to, discuss internally with their people. 2
years to do it.
And that's kind of the point, right? And Johnston said that yesterday, that the field dimensions are a slower rollout to give amateur football time to decide. And unfortunately, I don't really know what there is to decide, because their hands will be tied.
Well, exactly.
They'll have no choice but to adapt the new rules.
Well, exactly. And now you look at all the high schools and stuff like that, and to move these goalposts. I mean, who's paying for that? There's a lot of fields, man. Anyway, that's a long time down the road. Coming up on the big program, hey, we're going to talk curling right off the hop, because Brad Gushue, one of the greatest ever to do it, is retiring at the end of the year. The Gushue Four are in London for a Grand Slam curling event. Jeff Walker's the lead for Brad Gushue for a long time, a good friend of the program. He'll be on with us at 7:20 to talk about what this year is going to be like for Brad Gushue. Mark Spector at 8 o'clock. Justin Dunk. This is going to be great from Three Down Nation. His comments on all the rule changes today. We got Chad Jennings from The Athletic, covers the Red Sox, big series for the Red Sox, starting with the Toronto Blue Jays. Today, Tyler Yamchuk from Oilers Nation, and then Dean Brown, Ottawa Senators, play-by-play broadcaster in the 10 o'clock hour. When we come back, Jeff Walker, 6-time Brier champion. It's a Kevin Karius Show with the Duke of Delburne on Sports 1440, and we're streaming on YouTube and X.
Seriously, another door knocker? I really want to go solar, but these high-pressure tactics are exhausting.
And their prices are unbelievable. Before we do anything, let's call Great Canadian Solar.
There's a better way to go solar. Great Canadian Solar provides honest advice and fair pricing to save you from overpaying. They're easy to deal with and will never put pressure on you to buy. As a trusted local business for over 15 years, Great Canadian Solar will support you in your solar journey. Visit GreatCanadianSolar.com and call today to get started.
Edmonton Elks Indigenous Celebration is back, presented by No Frills. September 27th versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders, featuring Indigenous dance and drum halftime performances, pregame makers market, and the unveiling of our brand new Indigenous gear. Tickets at GoElks.com.
At Fountain Tire, get up to 25% off select tires, up to $125 off a set of 4 select Goodyear tires, and $50 off $150 service until October 18th. Restrictions apply. Book today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
Hey. Sports 1440 is your front row seat to the wild world of sports. Local legends, national headlines, and everything in between. Your game, your station. This is Sports 1440.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. With customer service reps on the line to get you what you need when you need it 24/7, 365 every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
It's time to rev up your engines at the Finning Sales Event today. Take advantage of event exclusives and score big with 0% financing. Demo the latest Cat heavy-duty equipment as they celebrate 100 years. Plus, you can pick up your Burke with every equipment purchase, $2,000 in additional discounts or free select attachments. Big machines, big savings, big fun. That's today. Edmonton Finning, 10910 170th Street Northwest.
Portions of this hour are brought to you by Nectar.io, transforming field data into boardroom insights. Nectar.io is the all-in-one solution for your fleet, safety, time tracking, and materials management needs. Nectar.io, your business made better.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 721 in Edmonton. Also coming up on the big program, yesterday I was down at Oilers' second session, talked to Trent Frederick and Alec Regula, and we will get to those interviews at some point during the morning. We're going to talk the Pebbled Ice right now with Jeff Walker, six-time Brier champion, the lead for Brad Gushu. Morning, Jeff. You're with Kevin Karius. Thanks for jumping on Sports 1440 this morning. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Good morning, Kevin.
Yeah, so you guys are in London for the Grand Slam of Curling event, the AMJ Masters. What's it like to get back on the ice, big guy, after, summer, golf, a lot of beer, a lot of steaks? Man, are you guys in shape? Are you ready to go here or what?
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to it. We'll find out tonight. We play our first one at 6:30 Eastern here tonight. So we had practice yesterday evening, and I think we're ready to go. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. How does the summer go for you, Jeff? Like, as far as, ice, and I mean, it's not available as readily as it is obviously in the winter, but like, what do you do to kind of keep on point here in the off season?
Right. So yeah, we're off the ice for basically 3.5 to 4 months, depending on where in the country has ice. We're lucky in Edmonton at the Saville Center that it gets it in a little bit earlier than most places. So we'll take that time off of the ice, but that's when we sort of ramp up the off-season training in the gym with our personal trainers and doing what we can to build a little muscle and get in shape before the season. So, but it's a really good rest, or it's a really good rest for some of the sweeping and the muscles we use throughout the year to give them a little bit of break and get ready for that next season.
Yeah. How much, Jeff, is off-season training changed for you? Like, so when you were starting out compared to what it is now?
It's so much different. I mean, you see now, just like any sport, the teams are getting getting younger, they're getting bigger and stronger, and it goes the same in curling. And when we first, you're first sort of getting into it, you do your workouts and stuff in the summer, but it wasn't the same as what you do now. It seems you try to do more and more all the time because, like I said, all these competitors from around the world are getting younger and only stronger and fitter, and sweeping seems to be more important over the last few years, how the game's changed.
Yeah, no question about that. Jeff Walker with us on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. So last week, your skipper, Brad Gushu, announces that this is going to be his last year on the circuit. Just an absolutely amazing career for Goosh, but did the news catch you off guard, or did you have an inkling that it was coming, Jeff?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it caught us off guard. I think we all had a pretty good idea what where he might go with it. He's been, I think, pondering over the last year, especially. So I think we all had an idea it could happen. We weren't sure exactly which way he would go, but I think we were all sort of prepared that possibly could be the route he takes, because just the way curling goes now, it's not many people go year to year. It sort of is down to those 4-year quadrennials, looking to that following Olympics. So, that's another 5-year commitment with this year and another 4 if you decide to do that. And so no, it didn't really catch us off guard. Obviously you're surprised when you hear it for sure, but I think we were well prepared for it.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Walker with us on Sports 1440. For you personally, you and Laura with the kids and everything now, I'm sure maybe you kind of had a little thought in the back of your mind, Jeff, that maybe down the road, how you're going to go about things as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you start thinking that as you get older in the sport, and you know, I would think I would like to play another 4 years. It all sort of depends on the situation and who it will be. I could not see myself going more than one more quadrennial, but you know, that's the plan right now. But right now we're focused on this year, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Mm-hmm. So when you look at Brad Gushue and the time that you've been with him with this rink, and I mean, him and Mark have been together for so many years, but what is it about Brad that makes him such a fabulous curler for so many years?
Yeah, I think it's just the commitment and the drive to be better all the time. You know, he's if not the best, you know, like when it comes to practice and stuff, he's probably the best when it gets down to that. And you know, always wanting to get better every single time we step on the ice, you know, on a daily basis. Just trying to, you know, find that next year, or that next little 0.5% or whatever it is to you know, stay at the top. And his longevity has been pretty incredible. I think, you know, off and on 20 years, basically being, you know, one of the top 5 teams sort of in the world. And you know, as a teammate, you're only trying to keep up, and it makes you work harder and you know, prepare the same way.
How much do you think Russ Howard helped him, Jeff, in the sense that there was, you know, it's probably it's like 20 years ago already, but you know, when Russ came on board there, and sort of, I don't know if he mentored, if that's the right phrase, but what do you think about that relationship?
Well, yeah, I think Brad was 25 at the time when they brought Russ on. So I think it was, you know, it was a big thing at that point in his career, very early on, just sort of guiding him through, and you know, able to win that trials at such a young age was, I think, you know, adding him was a big part to it. And probably, you know, I'm sure for Brad, he learned a lot, you know, in that year and a half or 2 years that he played with Russ.
Mm-hmm. How do you guys break this season down? You know, just starting this week, but then, hey, back to Alberta for a couple of events, including the one in Nisku. So how do you sort of bust it down in preparation? I guess the first big event, and that's the biggie, is coming up in November in Halifax with the Canadian curling trials for the Olympics.
Yeah, we've sort of strategically planned our schedule this fall. We're actually probably the last big team to get on the ice and play a game. I think a lot of teams, whether it's worldwide or even in Canada, have at least played one event so far. And you know, there's some that this is probably the 3rd or 4th event. So we wanted to start a little later, but we've also got on the ice probably a little bit sooner than most years. We've already had three camps together as a group. So we'll play this one, then we go right to Calgary for the points bet. And then we'll have about a week off and then play in Nisku. And all of them are just building up to you know, try to peak at that trials. And in the mix there, we still have a few other camps along the way. So we're going to be doing, you know, a little bit even more practicing as opposed to competing. We're going to skip one of the slams, actually the Tahoe Slam in the States. We're not going to go. We feel it's just a little bit too close to the trials, and that's our number one priority. So we're going to put a good camp together that week, and you know, that's the goal. And we, like I said, we tried to set it up strategically and play at the right times, but also get us enough practice in and time on the ice together.
Jeff Walker with this 6-time Brier champ, getting ready for the Grand Slam of curling, which gets underway today in London, Ontario, the AMJ Masters. How about how this year just shakes down at the very end with the Brier being in St. John's, you know, where it all started for a guy like Brad Gushue. I'm sure when you looked at the schedule like that, you were going, man, this is just almost all coming into place here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's going to be a pretty special event. You know, so obviously the trials is our number one priority. But if we don't win that and don't represent Canada at the Olympics, our focus will shift to the Brier, because that'll be some event. You know, and obviously we would love to go out on top and win another Brier, and for Brad, especially in hometown. But I think that we're really looking forward to that one. That's going to be quite exciting. Obviously, we had the experience of a hometown Brier back in 2017, and that was phenomenal. And you know, it's going to be tough to top, but I really feel this one could even top that.
Jeff Walker with us on Sports 1440, the lead for Brad Gushu. When you look at the trials, Jeff, and again, we're about 2 months away, I guess. It's actually bang on 2 months away. Is this the toughest bonspiel that you would say that you would ever be in? Even going back to 4 years ago, tougher than the Worlds, tougher than anything else. Just maybe describe how difficult the Canadian curling trials are getting to the Olympics.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And I think the biggest thing is probably just the pressure of the event. May not be the toughest of fields. We've had, Briars before that have had some phenomenal fields, and also obviously Worlds, how strong the fields are now. But obviously when you put the top 8 teams in Canada all playing against each other, it's obviously a great field, but yet it's just the pressure of it, the prize at the end, going representing your country at the Olympics. That's sort of the biggest thing, and everybody can sometimes just look at that big picture and the pressure can get to them. So that's sort of the big one there is battling that obstacle and just trying to focus on playing your game and just winning your game and get to the final and try not to think of the outcome. I think that's the biggest thing that makes it so tough. It's a different feel that week versus some of the other tournaments that you play in, just because the intensity of all the teams throughout that week is ramped up to its max.
Yeah. Go back to Beijing. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, Beijing, obviously was my first and only Olympics. It was awesome to be able to go and represent your country. Unfortunately, during COVID, it wasn't the same as all the other Olympics, and we didn't have any family or supporters or anything over there. So it was obviously quite a different feel, I think, than what you'd experience with the regular Olympics and all the the Canadians that go over and cheer on their athletes. I wouldn't change it for the world. I was lucky enough to represent Canada and go there, and we were able to stand on the podium and get a medal. So that was that was always a highlight of mine. But I'm hoping we can get to Italy here in February and relive it. Sort of at I guess you could say normal Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Changes to the brushes a little bit. Has there been anything, like there was something about several months ago, Jeff? Can you just get our listeners up to speed on anything going on in that area?
Yeah, so basically last year with the pads were just starting to get too firm. There was some issues with some of the manufacturers coming out with too firm of foams, which was causing, a little bit more of a, I guess you could say Broomgate 2.0 again, where we were able to just drag rocks way too far and sort of manipulate them again. So what happened is in May, I was actually part of the athletes group that went to Morris, Manitoba, where they have actually ice full time for the full year round there. And we were able to do some testing with the World Curling Federation and do some, just basically sampling of brooms. So we did 3 days of basically continuous sweeping, a lot of us sweepers, and just found that these were just basically out of the spec of what we want. So that now the foam has been reduced in density. Mm-hmm. So they're softer now. So hopefully we're not going to have any issues for the foreseeable future, but I could still see some stuff coming down the pipe in years going forward, whether it's foam or even some technique with the way we sweep the rock, because it's starting to get a little bit out of control, I think, in my mind. But I think this was a good little stopgap for at least this season being an Olympic year to hopefully not have as much control, and it seemed that way when we did with our testing. So let's hope that's the case for at least a season.
Can we go back to the corn brooms, Jeff?
Well, I've never swept with one, so it might be tough for a lot of us now. But it seems like it needs to go back to something. But the funniest thing is the way teams are going, they're going to figure out how to do something with a certain broom. So teams don't just practice throwing anymore. There's a lot of sweeping being practiced and tested, and it seems like somebody will find something. So we'll see at this point where it's at. But like I said, I could see some other sweeping rules and maybe a little more umpiring, officiating in the game coming in the future. But I guess time will tell.
I saw your picture, I think, for the Grand Slam of curling for the AMG Masters in London. I think I saw you with a Blue Jays hat on. Are you ready for the stretch run here or what?
You betcha. Yeah, we're all big Blue Jays fan. Mark and Brad and myself, we're all big fans, so we watch a lot of the games. And yeah, when we're not playing, and like the game will be on. We're not going to miss the game tonight because we play at the same time, but they'll be on over the next course of the week, and hopefully we can get the division title and get one of those top 2 seeds. That's going to be important.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, as always, thanks for coming on. Good luck tonight in your opening match at the AMG Masters. And actually, we'll look forward to seeing you in Nisku. That's just a wonderful facility for curling, isn't it?
Yeah, that was incredible. That was my first time in that facility last year, and it was great. It's great for watching curling, just the sight lines and stuff. So we're looking forward to that one as well. Yeah,
at the Silent Ice. As always, thanks a lot, Jeff. Take care, and we'll talk soon.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
That's Jeff Walker, Brier champion. And again, when they went, it was way different in 2022, obviously with COVID, to go to, the Olympics in Beijing. Picked up the bronze medal, but again, when you're doing whatever you're doing, if you don't have anyone to share it with if it's your friends, your family, whatever, that's, it's just not the same thing, is it? Because you look up in the stands or whatever, and there's no one there, and, it just wasn't the same. And hopefully, they can have great success moving up into the various Grand Slam of curling events, up to the curling trials in Halifax, which get underway November 22nd. And then obviously, the Olympics. And then could you imagine a year like that and cap it off at the Brier in St. John's, where it all started for Brad Gushue and won back in 2017. So it could be a magical year for Gushue, and we're hoping for Jeff Walker because he's just an outstanding guy. When we come back, we'll get to some your texts, 833-401-1440, and maybe how about Trent Frederick? Talked to him yesterday after a very, he had a high ankle sprain last year when he got traded. It didn't heal up the way the Oilers would have hoped before the playoffs. And then he gutted it out. And he was not, what would he be? 60%, if that's 70? Hard to say. That's coming up right after the break. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne on Sports 1440, and we're streaming on YouTube and X.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the Power Play 24/7 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
September, back to class and back to carting the kids around. Good news. Until the end of the month at Wolf GMC Buick, get GMC employee pricing on all remaining 2025 GMC Sierras. So you'll have loads of room. Plus, get 0% financing on Sierra light-duty crew cabs. If you're eyeing up an SUV, we have the completely redesigned GMC Terrain and our entire Buick family with incredible prices. And Costco members up to $1,200 additional off the price. Come see us, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Find incredible savings on everything you need for your home at The Brick. Save up to $800 on sofas and up to $1,000 off select major appliances when you buy 2 or more. Whether you're furnishing a new space or refreshing your current one, The Brick has designs to fit any style and budget, all backed by their exceptional service. Visit one of their 4 locations in Edmonton, downtown, South Common, West Edmonton Mall, or 137th on the north side. See in-store for details and exclusions. The Brick, saving you more.
I'm a little hungry.
I've got Booster Balls from Booster Juice.
Booster what now?
Booster Balls. They're little protein bites packed with nutrients. Chewy, crunchy, yummy, and new flavors all the time. Like this little guy. The new mint chocolate Booster Ball. Peppermint, cocoa, coconut, peanut butter, maple syrup, all rolled up into a delightful little bite-sized snack.
Why am I just hearing about this now?
I don't know.
Can I have one?
No.
Booster Juice, Canadian born, blending since 1999.
Just think, Kevin Karius has been covering Edmonton sports since before TikTok Twitter, texting, and the Titanic. We may have made that last one up. Check out Karius in the mornings on Sports 1440. Your game, your station.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
This Friday, get ready for a one-of-a-kind experience with two of hockey's most legendary enforcers. Century Casino Edmonton presents an evening with Marty McSorley and Kevin McClelland. Hosted by Louis DeBrusque, they'll take the stage for an unfiltered night of stories, laughs, and memories. Hockey legends Marty McSorley and Kevin McClelland at Century Casino Edmonton. This Friday. Hurry, get your tickets now from Ticketmaster.
Just in time for the morning skate. This is the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 742 in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne with you on Sports 1440. We got Josh Fenwick and Sam the Record Man running the show on YouTube and X as we are streaming. Sam, I don't know what to do with you, man. You told me to take Detroit, or told me to take Baltimore yesterday. I took Detroit in another one. I listened to you with the Duke, and you threw me down the river without a paddle, big guy.
As discussed yesterday,
Unbelievable.
It didn't inspire a ton of confidence when his first question was, "What exactly are we doing here?" I
What's
think
your situation?
I think
what
you
is
need,
your situation?
I think you need to take just as much onus for running with that advice, Kev.
You know, I thought, to be honest with you, like it was close. It was 21-21. It could have gone either way up until that point. But
the Henry fumble.
3 games in a row now.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and think about that, like back to my Texans game on Sunday, Nico Collins with a fumble that in grand scheme likely cost them a chance to win the game. It's between that and some kicking woes for a number of teams through the early going. It's been a bit of an epidemic around the NFL. Some big name players fumbling the ball in key spots.
I don't know what was like. Obviously, he was upset when he fumbled the ball.
And then he just like that looks like me when I come in from
bench.
chores and I just like flop on the couch. I'm exhausted.
So he tried to get his helmet on, you know,
the little
air
peg
thing,
thing,
the air thing. He just falls over to the side, and I was like, wow.
Like that bench is made of like hard plastic, isn't it? That couldn't have
I
been.
thought those are the steel ones, like the
either way. Well, that's what I mean. Like that couldn't have been comfortable to land on like that. I wouldn't think.
I don't know. Text 833-401-1440 still with football. Vic says, Sean White in BC, Lions kicker, said in a tweet, well, I guess I know when I'm not needed. It was a fun ride. Steve says, I lost all respect for the league with the way they treated all the other levels of football. Field changes are too big to not have other levels even considered or consulted. Gus is not sure where they had to shrink the end zone and the field length. To me, the one thing, okay, if you're going to move I get moving the uprights back. I don't see 60 touchdowns being added on here. I just don't. But what would have happened, Duke? Like, what if they just stayed at 110? Would that have been like the craziest thing to move the uprights back to the, back of the end zone, but leave the length of the field at 110 instead of taking 10 yards out? Like, what would have happened? Would we just been playing in the middle of the field here or what?
I think that's their thought process. Like, and I mean the league, that's how they viewed it is if we are going to all of a sudden make these field goals 15 yards longer, we need to make the distance to get to field goal range shorter by 10 yards, I guess.
I don't know. Again, I'm from the 30, let's call it the 35-yard line. When you're there and you're third and long, what are you going to do? I see more punting.
Well,
to the corner.
your punter's going to have to be so dialed because you're punting
Right.
at 30 yards.
Whatever. So
and because
you're
you want
kicking it out of bounds, Duke. You're kicking it.
But you're either going to want to try and pin deep, or like your punter's going to want those to land at the 5,
Without
and
question.
at worst, pin them right there, or best, roll it into the end zone and force them to concede the rouge.
Right. The punter is.
It's going to be tough.
The punter is going to be big. Like that, like a guy like Jake Julian is going to be punting from his 50-yard line a lot.
I guess.
And that's ballpark.
And
I shouldn't say his 50, the 50.
Yeah, because to me, punter, and as somebody who's never done it, maybe this is total naive of me, but like as a punter, to boom it is easier. Like just kick it as hard as you can, and placing it matters, of course, but just to kick it as hard as you can for distance wise is one thing, but then trying to finesse it to the extent of like when you're that tight in no man's land, I think becomes more difficult, right? Like if at full swing you can punt it 60 yards, and now you have to try and place it to 40.
So that's what they're going to be practicing. Jake Julian's going to try it 1,000. He's going to practice.
He's going to be out there punting and got a whole bunch of garbage bins down at different distances and try and land them in the tub.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you know what? You're going to, and if it lands, here's what you're going to do, Duke. If it lands somewhere at the 10-yard line, you don't even care about the 5-yard penalty. If it lands on the field, get in there. Who cares? Take the 5-yard penalty. So. Yesterday, I was down at Oilers practice for the second session. It's funny how the media works, Duke, because they're like, so I was down there by myself. Cam Moon was there for half of the practice, but there wasn't another media person there. They all do their work at the morning session. So I ended up watching a couple guys in particular. Alec Regula showed really good speed. I thought his footwork was really good. For a guy coming off a pretty serious injury where he missed a year. So I interviewed him. We'll get to that later in the show. Also, Trent Frederick. And now this is a guy that, signed a long-term deal. I found it when we were talking, even off camera and a little bit on, and he said it in the interview. When he got traded here, he said, I didn't think I was going to re-sign here. And then he just fell in love with the place. He fell in love with the staff. And you think about it, like, so he signs an 8-year deal. You can talk about the length, whatever you want. It could be just an absolute steal. If he gets back remotely, like if he gets back to where he was 2 years ago in Boston, that contract is an absolute steal. And it's not, and that's an 18-goal season. He had 17 the year before. So he's just a guy that's coming into his own and was obviously hurt a lot going into the playoffs. He didn't say it. I could tell by the look in his eye that he was given a little bit of a sharp, pointy object to get through the games. But again, he had a 40-point season 2 years ago. Last year's a write-off because he played 57 games, only played 5 minutes in the regular season here. I think they're expecting big things from this guy, and I had this conversation with Trent Frederick yesterday.
Well, Freddie, just how did the summer go for you? A little different because you're still in the process of almost rehabbing, I would imagine, from what happened last year. So how was it for you?
Yeah, it was good. They pretty much said I couldn't get in the ice till August, but it was probably a smart thing. And then once I started getting the ice, I just ramped it up pretty quick. And the ankle, I think, given it that time, started feeling a lot better. And I just feel like, I did rehab every day with the chiropractor, and then go from there to workout, and then pretty much just skate. The last month of the summer, which was good. I couldn't skate first, so it was just rehab skate. And I was unlucky that my gym was next to chiropractor all last year. I didn't have to go to him as much, and my gym switched, so it was a lot of driving this summer.
So how did you handle that? Because, and again, you probably would be on the ice in years past a lot sooner than this one. But so how did you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, at first I was kind of pretty much with my skills coach, actually from Boston, flew in a couple times to just work one-on-one. So I didn't really like have any contact, and we worked on a lot of stuff. And then progressively started skating with more guys. And I came up here early, which was good to get all the full skates in. So no, it was good. Normally I'm like take 2 weeks off from skating and get back at it, but obviously this year they didn't want me doing that. So it was good. I did everything I could. I feel like I started jumping and running earlier than I would have thought of. I couldn't do that when I left, so that was nice to do in the gym towards the end. So,
how were you able to get playing in the playoffs and play through it? You'd be the first to say you weren't at 100%. So, kind of how did you get through it?
A lot of help from the doctors.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that. And they would tape it up. They did a good job taping it up. And then gradually we got a little less tape towards the end, but you kind of just get used to it. At first, like I was toe picking a lot, and then you kind of are used to just not be able to have like the flexion in your ankle. Obviously you don't have much jump or pop with it, but they did a good job. So at least I wasn't in like complete pain the whole time. So that was nice.
Could you feel that you were almost changing your skating stride? Is that fair to say?
Maybe. I mean, hopefully I didn't ruin my stride. I still feel like I still am getting back a lot of pop. I don't feel like I'm as quick right now as I maybe used to be. I mean, I wasn't always the quickest guy, but I definitely am not like 100% back to like 100% speed, but the ankle feels really good. So that's good.
Yeah. So again, would you say you're at a certain percent right now? How much more till you get to where you want to be?
I think it's just like one of these injuries that they just say just takes time. Like just going to be a little bit irritated for a while, but it's just, it's like your muscle. You kind of break it down and build it up, and you do exercises, and some days you're sore, but it's nothing like it was when I was playing a couple of months ago. So it's good.
What was it about signing the long-term deal? What is it about here, the team, city, that said, I want to be here for a long time?
Yeah, I think when I first got here, I said this before, I didn't really know if I was going to resign. And then I just liked all the staff. The staff was great to me. That's what I was hanging out with at first because I was injured. Just the way they treated us. All the guys here, I could see how much they care about the character of guys. And at the end of the day, I think this is a team that has a chance of winning for many years. And that's really the ultimate goal when you play hockey at this level is you just want to win. And I think this gives you the best chance. So I would say too, like playing the playoffs, the passion of the fans, the city, it's very cool. As a U.S. guy, it's definitely harder to make a commitment to live in Canada, but I felt very comfortable here and liked it so much that I did that. Yeah.
I think I asked you right before the finals about the atmosphere.
Yeah.
What you thought of it? I mean, I can't imagine what you thought when you first saw it, especially in the finals.
Yeah. No, it was unreal, like goosebumps coming out. It's definitely an advantage having a crowd like that versus other places. But yeah, it was incredible. Like I was staying at the JW, so even walking by the lines and everything before the game, I'm getting there 3 hours before, and the place is already rocking. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was nuts. Where do you sit at for yourself personally? Left wing, center? Do you have a preference, or is it just wherever you think you can do the job on any given night for any undetermined period of time?
Yeah, I feel like I've had this conversation a lot. I think I would say, I don't know which one I prefer the most. I would say wings wise, I actually prefer right a lot, or I've had success playing right. But it really is like, we're talking like a small difference between all three of them. But no, it doesn't matter wherever I'm getting opportunities, it sounds cliche, but wherever the team kind of needs me, I'm fine with doing that.
What do you like about on the right side? Is it in your own end along the boards? Do you feel that your angle's better there or something?
I feel like even breaking out pucks, carrying pucks in, having it on your backhand or in the middle of the ice, it makes it a lot easier to make plays from there. Sometimes I feel like as a lefty, getting rims, like I'm not a bad backhand passer, but you have less confidence to whip backhand pass right through the middle to like a D or say like a center underneath. But there's just little stuff. There's pros and cons to both. I really think. But.
Yeah. What about even say on the attack then? Do you feel more comfortable like cutting in on your backhand then, or?
Yeah. I personally. I think most players would say the same thing, that they'd rather be carrying it with the puck on the inside. So lefty coming up the right side or righty coming up the the left side. I think most people would prefer that. Sometimes you're slashing across, so you end up coming over to the left side as a right winger. So it just all depends on any given night what happens. But
Hey, thanks for this. Good luck in camp and the rest of the way. Appreciate it.
yeah, thank you.
This conversation I had with Trent Frederick yesterday following the second session on the ice at Oilers training camp. Again, Oilers in Winnipeg tonight. We're going to bust that down with Mark Spector at the top of the hour. I mean, Frederick had 17 goals 3 years ago, and 2 years ago he had 18 goals. And that was a player just coming into his own. Really, to be honest with you, that 17-goal season was only his second full year in the NHL. He'd been up and down with Providence and Boston over the course of the first couple of years after coming out of the University of Wisconsin. Top of the hour, Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. We'll also check in with Justin Dunk from 3 Down Nation. Before all that, time now for a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Nectar.io. Learn more about how we can help your business automate processes, streamline operations, and save money at Nectar.io. Nectar.io, your business made better. Here is the Duke.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Week 3 of the NFL wrapping up last night. The Lions get past the Ravens 38-30 to move to 2-1 on the season, running all over the field. Lions rushing attack combining for 224 yards and 4 touchdowns. NHL preseason, 4 games on the ice across the states last night. Jackets blanked by the Sabres 4-0. Penguins fall to the Canadiens 2-1 in a shootout. Lightning over the Hurricanes 2-1. And the Ducks, they run it up on the Mammoth 6-1. Light day in the majors. Final week of the regular season underway. Braves beating the Nationals 11-5. Padres get past the Brewers 5-4 in a couple extra innings. And the Cardinals down the Giants 6-5. Coming up in hour 2 of the Kevin Karius Show, I'm joined by Sportsnet's Mark Spector as well as Justin Dunk from 3 Down Nation covering the CFL. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Mr. Rooter goes for a fall stroke.
Ah, the beauty of fall. These leaves are crunchier than that calcified shower head I replaced this morning. And the earthy yellow oranges and browns are as colorful as the wad of hair I pulled out of the shower drain.
Ugh, Mr. Rooter, can we talk about something else?
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you didn't like fall. You look about as sour as the sewer line I unclogged yesterday.
For a plumber you'll truly fall for. Call Mr. Rooter.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey, Culligan. I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at culligan.ca.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Center. TNA Wrestling makes its explosive debut at the Expo Center on Friday, September 26th and Saturday, September 27th for back-to-back nights. Buy your tickets online today. Learn more about what's happening at the Expo Center by visiting the calendar of events online at edmontonexpocenter.com today.
Want some good news? St. Albert Dodge is holding the biggest sale of the year on their in-stock Ram 1500 Sports. Every single one on the lot is discounted by a whopping $14,000. Yeah, 14 grand. And St. Albert Dodge has the best selection in Alberta. Over 90 Ram 1500 Sports to choose from with great packages, including the Night Edition and GT models, all $14,000 off the ticket price. Get down there and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Stories, guests, and insights. This is Sports 1440 and the Kevin Karius Show.
All right, welcome back to the big program. 8 o'clock in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne with you on Sports 1440. Josh Fenwick, Sam the intern, or Sam the record man, whatever you want to call him, is with us in studio as well. We're streaming on YouTube and on X. Time now for On the Mark, brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. If you buy a new vehicle this month, well, you feed families. That's what they're going for at Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. For every truck sold, Northgate will feed a family of 4. See all their vehicles at northgategm.com. As we welcome in Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. Good morning, Spec.
Running solo in there today, Kev, I see.
That's what Tuesdays are all about. You know, we used to have Grant Fuhr on Tuesdays for the first year.
Yeah.
And then he was just too busy to do year number 2. He was like swamped with doing Coachella Valley and all his other stuff with his, he does a lot of charity stuff, right? He's golfing and this, and he does a lot of events. So he just couldn't make it work for year number 2. So
make it work. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you should be in studio on Tuesdays.
Yeah, no, that's your job. I wouldn't want to, wouldn't want to come in there and steal the show or anything like that.
Hey, feel free, man. You're more than welcome.
Feel free.
You're more than welcome. Oilers in Winnipeg tonight, Spec. What kind of lineup we going to see here?
Not a great one. You're not going to see McDavid and Draisaitl play till Wednesday in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Knobloch said that anyway. I think I asked him if the big boys are playing. He goes, yeah, they'll play Wednesday. So you'll still get, they got to send a certain amount of veterans for sure. But I think some of those veterans can still be, I don't even know the rules anymore. It's like, is a guy like Seth Griffith, who's played a long time in the pro hockey in Bakersfield, is he a veteran? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think the rule used to have you had a certain amount of NHL games, no?
Yeah, and then after a certain age, a certain amount of pro games and whatever, like it's preseason. They're, and it's really I know they played 2 games the other night, but they'll do this game. They'll play a game Wednesday here in Edmonton. I believe Seattle's in, and then you'll see some cuts Thursday, and camp will get down to a more manageable level. So we'll watch that game tonight out of Winnipeg with, take a look at some guys maybe for the last time.
Yeah, and it'll be on TSN. I don't know if the blackout will be on, but Duke, do you know anything about that? If maybe lift the blackout for preseason?
I know you can watch every Oilers preseason on Oilers Plus, and there's a free promo code to watch all preseason games.
Oh, there you go. I'd like to watch it on TSN 3 though myself.
Well, they would have Cam Moon's radio call, I believe,
on Oilers Plus. Yes,
on Oilers Plus. So listed Cam Moon call the game. I don't mind that idea. Or if you could find it on TSN, would for sure be a regional game. So you're not going to get it on your regular TV in Edmonton. But if you got some tricks of the trade, you might be able to find it.
I think you can finagle it. Yeah. Well, there's one thing I like about Cam Moon, Spec. Nothing. Just kidding, Mooter. And we golfed, actually. We were in that the Barry Cates thing together. We had a blast. I saw him yesterday. Yesterday, all you rubes that cover the first session, because I can't get down there. And then I was the only guy there yesterday, Spec, for the second session.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. So I knew that's how it's going to happen anyway. But I ended up actually talking to Trent Frederick yesterday, and he was really candid with a lot of his answers.
Okay, what did he say?
Well, we just ran the interview. You can go back and have a look at it too if you want to catch it in its entirety, Spec. But for the most part, the one thing that I really got from him is he said when he was first traded here, he didn't think he was going to re-sign. It was just that simple. He said, nah, I didn't think I was going to re-sign, but he fell in love with the place, fell in love with the team, fell in love with the city. Of course, it's in the playoff run too that helps. Fell in love with the staff on the team, because he said when he was hurt, he ended up spending so much more time, like you're spending time with the training staff and more guys that are, just, behind the scenes. So that was one thing that really got to me. And then the other one was
I mean, how seriously injured he was. And I mean, he was hurt pretty bad in the sense that, he had to get some help to play in the playoffs. And he's 60, 70%, if that, so, and he's still working to get to 100 here. He's still working on stuff. So,
Well, it's funny, like he said a little bit of this last year, when you're hurt and the team goes on the road and you stay home and work with the staff, he says you get a chance to really get to know everybody in the organization way more than you would if you were part of the traveling party, right?
Yeah.
Or certainly different people. So, when you're the Oilers, Edmonton's never going to be able to get rid of its geography problem. It's always going to be cold here in the winter. We're always going to be far away from everybody else with crappy flights. That's just what we got. I'm an Edmontonian and I get it. But what you can do when you're the Oilers is have a absolutely unbelievably beautiful modern building, which they have, an excellent staff. You hire the right people. You spend a little extra money so that those people have more, latitude to do things. And a guy like Frederick's a great example. He comes here and unexpectedly says, man, what a great organization. I want to stay around here. And those are the advantages when you have disadvantages like we have, like Winnipeg has. You got to counter them with advantages. And that's exactly what they've done.
The other thing that I took away from the interview, Spec, is that he said that he prefers, out of the 3 forward positions, he prefers right wing the best, being on his off wing. He said he feels more comfortable there. He mentioned being playing alongside the wall in his own end. Feels more comfortable that he's, in that sense. Also, he did say, like, on the rush, as a left-handed shot coming down the right wing, he feels stronger going, to his backhand. And he says he feels like a lot of guys are like that. So, hey, who knows with Zach Hyman's situation? Maybe there's a spot up on the right side with Connor McDavid to start the year here.
Well, you never know. Maybe short term, sure. I think that, the guys in Boston that I know that have covered the Bruins for a long time, they'll tell you that Trent Fredericks, his offensive game makes him a bottom, a middle 6 winger at best, probably a third line guy. Like, he's never going to come in here and score 25 goals or whatever. That's not who he is. He's never been that guy. So if that's what you're waiting for and you think, let's put him on the first line, I get it. Short term, Hyman's hurt. Yeah. But long term, you got to put a player in a position where he's can succeed. Where he can succeed. And then if he succeeds in the role you give him, then he gets confidence. And we all know, 3/4 of this game, if you're playing with confidence, you got a chance. If you're playing without confidence, you got no chance. So if he's telling you that he prefers right wing, and if we're, my understanding and what I see in this player is he's probably not a top 6 winger, and that's fine. You need bottom 6 wingers too. And if he's on your third line, you probably have a pretty good team. So to me, you got to identify what you got and then play him accordingly. And then you got a chance to have a good player.
Mark Spector with us on Sports 1440. Also talked to Alec Regula yesterday, Spec. I was very impressed with him.
Really?
Very, very well spoken. But I watched him, for the second session. He's a lot faster than I thought he was. He closed on a lot of guys, and I know we're just talking about a practice here.
No.
But I mean, those are some of the things that I noticed. And again, this is a guy that missed the entirety of last year with a leg injury. So I was impressed with him too. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at him at all in any of the sessions or even in the game or not.
Yeah, I noticed him in the game, the Calgary game here, and I watched him, several shifts just to say, because I knew we'd talk about him, and I really don't know anything about the guy. And the thing that caught my eye was his willingness to do exactly what you said. He closes on guys and he rubs them out. Doesn't blow them up at center ice, but his tool, his best tool, is his size. He's big and strong.
Yeah.
And he appears to have the boots to be able to put himself in position to use that size, right? You got to get there before the size helps you. And it looks like he's quick enough. Like I thought he kept, you got to be able to skate to keep a proper gap. You got to be able to skate backwards, and to have your gaps right. And I felt like his gaps were really tight and they closed. Like no one was sneaking by the boards on this guy. He took and when he took on a couple of smaller Flames players, he eliminated them. I'm not telling you he put them in the hospital. I'm just saying he rubbed them out on the boards, and they were not getting past Alec Regula with the puck. And that's, when you're big, you got to play big. And we always hate when you get a 6'4" guy who plays like he's 5'10". That is not Alec Regula. He appears to play like a 6'4" guy, and if he can skate and back it up with some foot speed, you know what? Maybe you got a player. Who knows?
Well, and again, it was a weird situation where, when you talk about surgeries and knee injuries is what he had, and you think ACLs and meniscus. There was no structural damage to this injury that he had. It was more about swelling and things like that. So, I think when you look at the potential here and just the fact that they gave him the 2-year contract spec, I think that tells me that they see something here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's the 7th guy to start the season here.
Wow. Well, I would. And the only reason is the 7th guy's not going to play as much, and this guy needs to play.
That's fair too. I get you there too. Yeah, no,
he missed the whole year.
Right. You're right. I'm wrong in that, but I'm just saying that they're looking at this guy with that there's something there. And no,
I think I'd say this, Kev. I'd say get him to Mako, give him 40 games, and then say, okay, we got 7th guy here. But the 40 games has to come first, or the 30 games, or whatever. But if he goes down there and improves, could he be your 7th guy? Poor Troy Stetcher. He's a perfect 7th guy. But guess what? He's not 6'4", and like we always talk about Troy Stetcher, man, he's a battler and he's consistent, and he comes out of the press box and gives you a great game every time. Like, I got all day long for Troy Stetcher, but every year some guy who's younger or bigger or faster or flashier or got drafted higher comes along, and we all talk about how it's going to take Troy Stetcher's job. You got to play. You got to do something to take Troy Stetcher's job. He's not just rolling over for you. We sure know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Spector with us on a Tuesday morning. Hey, what did you think of all the CFL new rules and things like that spec yesterday that were announced just after we left the air?
Mixed bag. I have seen around the league where a lot of CFL people don't love them. There's some loud complaints going on here. There's some things I don't like. Like when you move the goalposts from the goal line to the dead ball line, that was an intrinsically Canadian feature. Like, that's something that shaped a portion of our game, and we struggled with it up here. Okay, so you're like, a missed field goal is now a live ball. In the States, a missed field goal is a dead ball. So they don't have to figure out what to do with a return, a point, and not a point. Should you run it out? Should you entice a guy to run it out? They don't have that problem in the States. So now we're not going to have it either. The other one is a 55-yard line. I don't, that was a identifying feature of the Canadian Football League for 100 years. And now we're getting rid of it for what reason? Why are we doing that? There's supposed to be more scoring. There's enough scoring. We don't have a scoring problem in the CFL, do we?
No. I look at it too, Spec, and we touched on this. To me, when this happens down the road, 35-yard line, it's going to be no man's land. If you're 3rd and 10 on the 35-yard line, what are you going to do?
Well, so what is that? That's a 45. That's a 52-yard. No, it's a 15-yard end zone.
Yeah, it's
right?
If you're on the 35-yard line, Spec, it's a 57-yard field goal attempt.
7-yard field goal. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. So, I mean, you know what? I guess the counter that, Kevin, people will say, great, you're going to go for it on 3rd down. That makes it more exciting. And I don't disagree with that, frankly. If that's what it does.
Percentages of converting a 3rd and 10, Spec.
Well, I mean, you're not punting from the 35, and you're not kicking.
Sure you are. I'll bet you'll see more punts, because you're going to be kicking from right at the midfield stripe, and you're going to try to get your kicker to pin him.
I guess.
Get it out of bounds or whatever at the 10-yard line and take it from there.
Maybe that's what you'll do. I mean, listen, for every so-called solution, there's going to be a problem here. The other thing that I have tired of in the CFL, and I think the most recent example was the other day against Hamilton. Hamilton gets the ball at their own 10-yard line with 1 minute and 15 seconds left.
140.
And sorry?
140.
140, whatever it was. That 140 lasts too long. Like,
yeah, but I went through this all spec. That the difference here, I went through all of it. The reason that it took 11 minutes is because there was 2-3 third down conversions. There was a Jordan Williams roughing the passer. Tyreek Johnson was hurt. The roughing the passer was a booth review. That took many minutes. There was a Hamilton timeout. There was an Elks challenge for pass interference. And the play clock, if you would have had it at a 35-second play clock, wouldn't have mattered much at all until the last play, which was 10 seconds longer. It actually was 45 seconds from the end of the previous play to the winning kick, which, as I say, Spec, was on 0-0 on the clock before they even snapped the ball. To me, that's the dumbest rule in the league.
Yeah.
How can you have a play with no time on the clock?
Right. So I guess I'd say to you, like, regardless, you break that game down, and I'll go with what you're saying here. But in the big picture, like the CFL started down the road of, we don't want to be the NFL where with 2.5 minutes left, if the other team has no timeouts and I got all my timeouts, the games can be almost over with 2 minutes left, right? I can just run the ball 3 times, take a knee, and we win. We don't love that. Like the last 2 minutes in the States, it can be pretty meaningless. So we always in the CFL said we want to change our clock, have a different clock so you can always make a comeback. And we like that about the CFL. And I get that. To me, we have a better rule in the last 2 minutes than the States does, in my opinion. But I think we went too far with it. I think it came to the point now where regardless of the Hamilton game, 1:45 in the CFL, it just lasts too long. The 2-minute drill, they barely have to hurry. It's the big field. You should always be able to get a 7-yard play when you need it. I don't mind the fact that they're putting the brakes on that 2-minute drill and saying, hey, you got to be a little quicker. We're going to change our clock so that you got to run a no huddle and hustle up the field and get out of bounds and do the things that we're used to try to save time. Yeah. CFL went a little far down that road. I don't mind them turning it back a little bit.
All right, Spec. Thanks, big fella. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Kev.
Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet on the Mark, brought to you powered by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. This truck's for you. Check them out at northgategm.com. Man, are we going to bust this down with our next guest coming up right after the break. Justin Dunk from 3 Down Nation is straight ahead. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne on Sports 1440. We are streaming on YouTube and X.
Is your company drowning in paperwork and administrative tasks? Do you need more data to make better decisions? Nectar.io is your company's all-in-one solution for fleet and materials management, safety, time cards, and GIS-based project management. Now is the time to capture and transform field, site, and shop data into boardroom-level business intelligence, all with one login. Visit Nectar.io to book a demo today. Nectar.io, your business made better.
Edmonton Elks Indigenous Celebration is back, presented by No Frills. September 27th versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders, featuring Indigenous dance and drum halftime performances, pregame makers market, and the unveiling of our brand new Indigenous gear. Tickets at goelks.com.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe that life shouldn't hurt. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't know that sometimes it really hurts. I mean, we've seen people at their worst moments in life, when they feel they have nowhere to turn, or at a time when they felt like their problem just wouldn't ever go away. We've also seen people who thought to themselves, it'll just go away on its own, or this is no big deal. I don't want to bother anyone about this. Don't know where to turn to, or think it's no big deal. Either way, we have the technology, techniques, and skills to help you get back to it, whatever your it may be. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
At Fountain Tire, you can save $50 off tire storage with the purchase of 4 select tires now until September 30th at participating locations. Okay. Or you could squeeze them into your backseat, possibly causing upholstery damage, drive them home, struggle, sweating buckets trying to get them out of your vehicle, resulting in you feeling guilty for not going to the gym more often, or at all. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. Totally up to you.
Definitely $50 off the tire storage.
You got it. Book your appointment today at fountaintire.com. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
Sports 1440 is your front row seat to the wild world of sports. Local legends, national headlines, and everything in between. Your game, your station. This is Sports 1440.
Get this, Metal Supermarkets now offers welding services for their customers. Simple welds, steel, stainless, and aluminum welding. TIG, MIG, and stick are all available. And I tell you, these welding helmets are really something. Like the jousters wore in the days of yore. Quick, fetch my lance.
Lance is on lunch break.
That's not what... Never mind. Metal Supermarkets, your local convenience stores for... and welding. Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
The bad news, winter will be here in a flash. But the really good news, right now during the Nissan Flash Sale, you can get a set of free winter tires. You might just look forward to winter coming back, and you still get 0% financing and $500 Nissan bonus. September 23rd to 27th only. Act fast. This flash won't last. See your local Nissan dealer or Nissan.ca for details. Offer available on select 2025 models. Conditions apply.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
And Karius Show, breaking down Edmonton's favorite teams, even though his favorite Junior A hockey team is the Yorkton Terriers. Thanks for checking in with Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 8:21 in Edmonton, and time now for the headliner of the day, brought to you by Mr. Rooter Plumbing, getting snakes deep and giving 110% day in and day out. For all your plumbing needs, go to mrrooter.ca as we welcome back Justin Dunk from 3 Down Nation. Morning, Justin. You're with Kevin Karius once again. Thanks for jumping on Sports 1440 this morning. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, Kevin.
Well, before we get to the reaction that you've heard, Justin, just want to kind of look at your article from 3 Down Nation, and with the headline reading, CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnson will not guarantee that the league will never switch to 4 downs. What did you make of that comment, Justin?
Well, I felt like the question needed to be asked in the press conference setting because all of the fan speculation, or not all of it, but a large part of it, leading up to that announcement in the 24 hours as it was going to happen, was about potentially the league going to 4 downs. Yeah. And it maybe looking a little bit more American. So I followed up with the commissioner in my one-on-one chat with him, which you can find on the 3 Down Nation podcast channels, and said, like, how come you can't guarantee it? And he said he's never going to say never, but it's not something that's on his radar anymore. It seems like if the commissioner is to be taken at his word that these significant game changes have been made, and now he's on to the next projects. Growing revenue, it seems to be, is top among them. The television deal would be the next one, awarding the 2027 Grey Cup. There's some key things that he needs to do, but I think it's going to give CFL fans a little bit of worry that he can't guarantee that under his watch that it won't go to 4 downs. It doesn't seem like that's a possibility, but then when you look at the optics and the way the game is going to look in 2027, when these changes are likely implemented, the majority of them, or the big ones, it gives reasons for CFL fans to have some anxiety.
And that could be 2, 3, 4 years down the road. Is that the feeling that you might have?
I'm not going to put a timeline on if they could potentially move to 4 downs, but it's easy to see that the game is going to look more like the American version, right? Especially if the fields are going to be similar from goal line to goal line. We're going to have 100 yards, just like the Americans. We're going to have uprights at the back of the end zone, just like the Americans. Now, I think some of the other nuances, having 12 players on the field, keeping the 65 yards in terms of width across the field, and the 3 downs, the waggle, we still have the rouge, although it's modified. Those, to me, are some of the key things that make the game uniquely Canadian. But to me, like taking out the 55-yard line, I get it in theory why you're doing it, but that also doesn't have to be done. You could put the uprights at the back of the end zone, make 15-yard end zones, and still have that line of demarcation that I feel like is one of the key significant standout pieces of our game that makes it Canadian, having that 55-yard line.
I'm with you on that one, Justin. I think if he would have just moved the uprights back and made the end zones 15 and left it at 110, there wouldn't be as much blowback as he's getting on that length of field. So we heard what Nathan Rourke had to say, and some guys like Mike O'Shea and across the country, Justin. Just what's the overall reaction that you've heard that you could put together in a neat little package for us?
I would say it's been mixed overall, but
Nathan Rourke clearly comes at it from largely a Canadian perspective, but he also has a unique lens where he went down and played in high school in Alabama, and he played his collegiate football. It's well known at Ohio University, but he carried that love and passion for the CFL game with him the entire time. Some people might say, oh, well, yeah, and he went down there into the NFL, and he said the CFL was just a bump in sort of his journey when he went down there, which I can understand the optics of that language. But it's clear that Rourke is passionate about the game. And I think the majority of his frustration, and a lot of the players and football people around the Canadian Football League share the same frustration, is the fact that they were not let in on this conversation. Yeah. I understand to a certain point that you want to keep it a secret. But honestly, Kevin, the more that I think about it, I don't understand why the CFL wouldn't want to have not necessarily a public negotiation, but why not talk about this more in depth with U Sports, with Football Canada, with the high schools around our country, because now they're going to have to get this news very quickly just before it was announced, digest it, and wonder if they're going to make these similar changes to allow our athletes through every step of the way to have the best opportunity to get to the CFL. Like I look at U Sports, for example. U Sports is the number one feeder system for Canadians in the Canadian Football League. Like far and away, better than the NCAA. So how do you not have a conversation with them except to tell them, oh, hey, on Monday morning, this announcement is coming. There's no input there. So when Nathan Rourke gets upset, I can understand it because he has a perspective of saying, well, Buck Pierce and I don't game plan in the red zone around the goalpost being in the way. So I feel like if there was a little bit more of an open conversation, then you wouldn't have an announcement and then all this blowback, right? Like I talked to Pierre Arsenault, the U Sports CEO, and he couldn't really say very much about what their process was going to be because he literally has just found out about this news. So I think it is unfair, but then it also shows us that the CFL is just going to do what's best for them, which I understand from a business perspective. But there's more on the line here when you consider, like I said, U Sports being your biggest feeder system and on down the list.
Justin Dunk from Three Down Nation, our guest on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. What do you think happens at like just two stadiums in particular that I know of, like McMahon Stadium, that's U of C property. In Montreal, it's McGill. Like, what if they say, well, I don't think we're going to go this way? What happens? Did they even go through this thought process? And then do those, like, who pays for this as well?
That's a great question. Regina at Mosaic Stadium would be similar because the Regina Rams usually play 3 games a year. So they're sometimes 4, and depending on playoffs, it could be more. So that's another conversation that has to be had. But it's, essentially, again, like you have 3 CFL stadiums where U Sports teams playing, and you don't even really have much of an in-depth conversation with them about what this is potentially going to look like. So they now have to potentially change their game days or be switched. Like, for example, one idea that I had talked about with the commissioner and then with Pierre Arsenault from U Sports was if you have the Rough Riders and Bombers Labor Day Classic on a Sunday, there's so many fans in the city on Saturday. Like, what if you had Manitoba versus Regina? Or what if you had the Huskies against the Rams that Saturday at Mosaic Stadium? Well, now if you do that, and U Sports doesn't adopt these changes, still continues to have a 55-yard line, you got to turn that field around. And you really just can't even do that. Now, that's an idea. I'm not saying it's close to happening, but some of these things I just can't understand. And those financial pieces are going to be felt by the schools, by the high schools, again, on down the list, especially because I don't think the CFL is going to be helping turn like local football fields into how their football fields, like, because they don't have the money for it.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And you think about how many high school football fields, and the high schools aren't going to pay the money to move and change the dimensions and things like that. So Justin Dunk with us from Three Down Nation on Sports 1440. One thing that I talked about quite extensively off the top of the show here, Justin, was, and you played at a high level in university. So what would you do if you were, and I use the 35-yard line approximately as the no man's land now, moving forward when the uprights get moved to the back of the end zone. What would you be doing if you're 3rd and 10 on the 35?
Well, now in that scenario, right, if you're on the 35, you're lining up 7 yards back for the field goal, so you're kicking it from 42. plus the 15 yards. So you'd have a 57-yard field goal. 3rd and 10. And I think I'd have to be looking at some analytics and game flow and how we're feeling. But it would seem to me that you're probably going to lean towards potentially going for it, which is actually what I think the CFL would like to see. I think the example that Stuart Johnston, the commissioner, used was a 3rd and 2 from around the same area. Yeah. But still, it's going to add some different nuances to this game. And although I understand moving the uprights, and along with some of the other rule changes they made, Kevin, the fan base was asking for like more data. So for example, the CFL was kind enough to provide me with the data in terms of throws into the end zone, but it was only tracked from the start of this year through Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
So there was, I think if I'm remembering it right, only 10 throws into the middle of the end zone between 0 and 10 yards deep into the end zone. But on the left and the right, there was over 40. So now they're believing there's going to be more throws into the middle of the end zone, which I absolutely think is going to happen. But I feel like we need data for years to back this up, along with some of the other decisions that are being made. Like they talked about that great interception that was made, I believe it was Robert Carter of the BC Lions, and how the upright was in the way. I don't think when that play went viral that a lot of people thought, well, I can't see it because of the upright.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a convenience that happened here. And the other thing, Kevin, that hasn't been talked about a lot is Stuart Johnston, yes, is getting stuff done. I'll give him credit for that. Has been on the job 151 days. And he told me that he started on this very early into this process. So was this something that was talked about while he was going through the hiring process with the Board of Governors? And we've heard in the past, Kevin, you know this well, there was talks about potentially merging with the XFL during the pandemic and perhaps going to a 4-down game. So that to me says, okay, Stuart Johnston is the one up there sort of bearing the brunt of a lot of the criticism that's out there today. But this has long been a thought process among the Board of Governors to potentially go to a more American style game. And 4 ideas has been out there at 4 downs, has at least been out there in the ether as an idea.
Well, I look at that 35-yard line, kind of that no man's land, Justin, and the commissioner can talk about 3rd and 2, but as you know, 3rd and 10 is a different beast. I see more punting. I see, guys punting from basically the midfield stripe from the 50-yard line and trying to boot it down to the 10 and maybe try for the coffin corner or something like that. That's where he could talk about gambling and having more offense. He's not the guy that's going to get fired if you keep gambling on 3rd and 10 from the 35.
And I think that's why the football people at least just wanted to be consulted on this. And that's a valid point too, because you talk to some people and they think, well, if you change something, it's just always going to be that way. But if they change this and it results in more punts, to your point, because we don't know until the game's played, you can project all you want, but you're going to project the touchdown stats over the punt stats in a way, right?
Yeah.
That maybe this is tweaked. Like, I don't necessarily think it's always going to play out this way. To your point, that's going to lead to more touchdowns. Like, they're projecting these changes to lead to 60 more touchdowns. Like, that's almost 1 more touchdown per game.
Yeah.
But, to Nathan Rourke's point, the CFL scoring is higher than the NFL, right? Like, he was talking about league revenues being up, right? We just had a bump in the salary cap. Like, that's where I think a lot of people are going to have an issue with this, especially the football people, because they're going to say the athletes are as good as they've ever been, especially the Canadians. The game is great. The issue is not with the athletes or the game. The issue is with growing the revenue. So I asked Stuart Johnston directly, how will this lead to legitimate revenue growth? And he told me, and I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I can't draw a straight line from these changes to revenue growth, but we believe the entertainment value of the game will grow. We could potentially get people who are non-CFL fans right now in the door because it looks a little more normal to them, I suppose, from a football standpoint. But if it doesn't lead to revenue, then I don't know why they're making these changes. And to Nathan Rourke's point, he said, like, he's a quarterback. He's an offensive player.
Yeah.
He doesn't think the defense really needs any more help here or that the offense needs any more help scoring points. So I think there's a lot of validity there. And if you just open up this conversation, I get that you're not going to listen to every fan, every person in the media and every player, but at least have the conversations with the key stakeholders in this country before you make such drastic changes.
one last one for you, Justin, just regarding the Edmonton Elks. What do you think happens with their quarterback position moving forward next year? We know what the salary is for both guys, and moving forward with Trey Ford, can they handle a salary? And I mean, I would imagine Cody Fajardo, if he's here, would get a salary bump next year. Can they handle that amount of money for the two guys with Trey Ford being the backup? Or would they even consider moving away from both guys next year, Justin?
I think that depends on what the quarterback landscape looks like and whether or not Cody Fajardo wants to continue playing football or what that salary looks like, right? I think there's a lot of questions up in the air. I think if you're Edmonton and you don't feel like Trey Ford is going to be your starting quarterback, then you go to him and say, okay, well, can we take your salary down? Or Trey Ford might just be like, well, I'm done with this. I want to go see what else is out on the market. So it's hard to project. I'll just say there's lots to play out there. The logical theory and thought process around the league would be that Edmonton would want to keep Cody Fajardo and that you would have to give him a salary bump commensurate with that. I believe he is a pending free agent at the end of the season. So if he's going to be paid legitimate starting quarterback money, which he has earned in the past, he's probably going to want, $350,000, $400,000, $450,000, $500,000 in that range, right? He's shown that he's worth that to this team. So I think those are some of the discussions that Ed Hervey, Mark Killam are going to have, quickly here after the season is over to say, hey, is Cody going to be our guy? All right, if he is, how are we going to approach Trey Ford? Because you can simply just let Trey Ford go and sort of let the market tell you where things are at as well. But if you look around the CFL, Kevin, like Cody Fajardo, I think, is probably by far and away going to be Edmonton's best option. It's not like there's a backup quarterback out there that you point to and say, hey, that's potentially the next Davis Alexander, like the situation that Fajardo found himself in Montreal.
Great stuff, Justin. Really appreciate you coming on. It's going to be a pretty busy day for you, I imagine, huh? With everything that happened yesterday and then leading up to today.
Yeah, it's just how we do it, man. When these big announcements happen, you got to be ready. Monday was wild, and we'll keep it rolling for the rest of the week. But thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Justin. Really appreciate it. Justin Dunk from 3 Down Nation. And our headliner of the day brought to you by Mr. Rooter, your top defense pairing against leaks. That's mrrooter.ca. Several texts coming in 833-401-1440. And a lot of them have to do with what we talked about with, amateur football. So you've got, the university angles of several stadiums. And again, if you look at Calgary, the Calgary Stampeders, they play at McMahon Stadium. McMahon Stadium is run by the U of C. Same thing in McGill, run Percival Stadium on campus. So those are two things there. And Justin mentioned Regina. You got the Rams. And never mind that. Think about all, there's Prairie Junior football. You got junior football across Canada. And how many players have we seen move up the ranks from junior football even to, the Canadian Football League? Many. Eddie Steele just texted in the Bisons. Yes, the Bisons are at a Bomber Stadium too. I don't think that it's the U of M that runs the show there like U of C and McGill, but that's 4. So, I mean, like, where are you going? And I mean, why didn't U Sports even have a discussion with the CFL here? Because if that's the case, are they going to have to move their dimensions? Are some other fields like Footfield, what are they going to do? They're going to, well, we might as well move the uprights back to the back of the end zone. We might as well redo the field because the 20-yard end zone it's all done. Many fields across the country are done. You go to Footfield. They have a 20-yard end zone with the yellow turf that's with the Golden Bears logos and Alberta and all that stuff. So that all has to be changed if that's the case. Who's paying for it? And then think about all the like JP Bowl, Clark. Think about all these others. There's literally hundreds and hundreds across the country. Team Dane says it'd be a simple, quick change to move the goalposts. Only hard change would be field length. I've seen them try to change the goalpost at Commonwealth several times, Team Dean. That's not like you do it with a couple guys and skid steer in the afternoon. That's the truth, Duke, too. I saw one time that, like, it took days for these guys. Plus, there's a big hole there in the ground. It was like you'd be walking, all of a sudden you'd disappear down there. When we come back, we'll get to more of your texts. We'll get to maybe some other Oilers interviews. We'd probably save one for tomorrow, Duke. We'll see how that goes. Also coming up at 9 o'clock, we've got Chad Jennings from The Athletic, covers the Boston Red Sox. Big series for the Red Sox and the Jays. Red Sox still hanging around. They're hanging around in the wild card with the Yankees. They're 3 back in New York. Basically, the Red Sox are out of it when it comes to the American League East, but they're still hanging around the wild card. So we'll check in at 9 o'clock to talk a little Red Sox to kick off that series with the Blue Jays with Chad Jennings, also Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation, and the Daily Face-Off at 9:20. And then in the 10 o'clock hour, we've got Dean Brown from the Ottawa Senators play-by-play team, the play-by-play man himself, Dean Brown. That's all coming up straight ahead on the Kevin Karius Show with the Duke of Delburne on Sports 1440. We're streaming on YouTube and X.
Mr. Rooter goes for a fall stroll.
Ah, the beauty of fall. These leaves are crunchier than that calcified shower head I replaced this morning. And the earthy yellow oranges and browns are as colorful as the wad of hair I pulled out of the shower drain.
Ugh, Mr. Rooter, can we talk about something else?
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you didn't like fall. You look about as sour as the sewer line I unclogged yesterday.
For a plumber you'll truly fall for. Call Mr. Rooter.
Looking for an all-season vehicle with room for the hockey gear, comfort for the daily commute, and rugged capability for your weekend adventures? That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it during the biggest sale of the year this month at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep, it's a 4x4, and it's loaded with standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats, all starting from just $34,900. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Center. TNA Wrestling makes its explosive debut at the Expo Center on Friday, September 26th and Saturday, September 27th for back-to-back nights. Buy your tickets online today. Learn more about what's happening at the Expo Center by visiting the calendar of events online at edmontonexpocenter.com today.
I'm a little hungry.
I've got booster balls from Booster Juice.
Booster what now?
Booster balls. They're little protein bites packed with nutrients. Chewy, crunchy, yummy, and new flavors all the time. Like this little guy, the new mint chocolate booster ball, peppermint cocoa, coconut, peanut butter, maple syrup, all rolled up into a delightful little bite-sized snack.
Why am I just hearing about this now?
I don't know.
Can I have one?
No.
Booster Juice, Canadian born, blending since 1999.
Every lunchtime, hang with Low Tide. Weekdays from noon to 2 on Sports 1440. Low Tide and Declan Kruger gives you the deep dives, sharp analysis, and Edmonton sports talk done right. Your game, your station, Sports 1440.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 Triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the 2 best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
You ever done something you can't be forgiven for? Crave is the exclusive home of HBO originals, including Task, the new crime thriller from the creator of Mayor of Easttown. I'm going to take their money so we can have a better life. Starring Emmy winner Mark Ruffalo.
If things go terribly wrong, people want to know why God let it happen.
And Emmy nominee Tom Pelfrey.
Have I almost found a way out? We never did anything like this.
Task, an HBO limited series. Stream now, only on Crave. Subscribe at crave.ca.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 8:45 in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne with you on Sports 1440. Duke, I see you twirling and spinning the ladies with that to that song there. No,
Of course.
Yeah.
How can you not? That's a dandy.
it's a dandy.
A dandy.
When would be the last time that you've danced
To that song?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good question. It's not a super common one to get played at, say, a wedding dance, which is these days where I do almost all of my boot scooting boogieing, to quote Eddie. So it's been a long time, probably back to my university days, I would think.
Really?
So yeah, we're talking 10 years.
That was a good conversation with Justin Dunk.
Very
He's
good.
Obviously very passionate about the CFL, played U Sports ball, and I mean, he's a guy that is, loves the CFL, wants to see it flourish. I think a lot of people do. But when you look at the changes, and again, the upright thing, it's been talked about for a long time. And there's a lot of players, like Troy Westwood was saying this has been overdue for like 10 years. I don't recall. I mean, I saw that Cody Fajardo pass yesterday when he was in Saskatchewan, going to the end zone, and then he's like face down in the turf. I don't recall it being like such a massive game-changing problem, like in the sense where, I don't know, like how often have we seen a pass going to the end zone?
Yeah.
Hit the upright.
But do we not see it as often because teams
No,
have
they
an
go away from
unwillingness to
Sure.
throw it in that area? To me, the goalpost thing is kind of in the same vein as the teams on the same sideline. Like it's so ridiculous that to me, it's wild that it has not yet been changed.
Yeah, I get it. And again,
and it's the goalpost thing, like the same sideline is a joke. Like that should, and it's funny because Eddie actually mentioned that yesterday when we were spitballing around what some of the announcement could be, and the fact it got included is kind of like, oh well, duh, right? But the goalpost, yes, it is one of the uniquely Canadian things that when you flick a game on, it is an immediately recognizable attribute that you're like, oh, this is a Canadian rules game, right? Same with seeing the center 55-yard line. But
so I'm kind of like with Justin too, though, Duke. Like, what would have happened if they just left it at 110?
So yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
And I kind of have it as a thing coming up. I know we're doing in or out a little later today because the way the guest shook down, but I have it in there. Like, to me, that's the one thing where I kind of say, why? Like, what was the need here?
I still think, and I can't wait to see coaches, and again on 3rd and 10, make that decision on the 35-yard line.
It's gonna make them earn their paychecks. Tough decisions to be made.
Yeah. Text 833-401-1440. Kalo in St. Albert says, I played against Dunk and his brother back in the day in the Ontario Varsity Football League. He was a good quarterback. Mark texts in, hey, Kevin, the fact these CFL decisions were made almost entirely behind closed doors without players or fans' knowledge represents what is truly broken in the CFL headquarters. I had hope for this new commish, but all I see is arrogance. Thanks, Mark. Dusty Chandler, wouldn't keeping the 110 with the post move back be like Olympic ice and hockey? So much dead space where no one's going to score from. Stulo texts in, I'm not knowledgeable enough about football to know how the rule changes will play out, but at least this commissioner is trying to grow the game with these changes. Do the detractors have any ideas to grow the interest in the game? Again, I'm not saying I'm a detractor on these rule changes, to be honest with you. Again, I like the goalpost moving back. All I'm saying is that when the rubber hits the road in 2027 and teams are on the 35-yard line, ballpark, what are we going to see? And it's 3rd and long. What are we going to see? Do you think that teams are going to gamble like the commissioner thinks on 3rd and long, or are they going to go, well, I can't hit a 57-yard field goal because really there's only one kicker in the CFL that hits consistently 60-yard field goals, and that's Castillo. I don't know anyone else that's doing it consistently. We're just going to punt. And that's the last thing you want in the CFL, because, especially with the shortened field now. Brian Fan says they moved the goalpost in 1974 and went to a single stand later. Moved them from where, Brian? 833-401-1440. Lots of texts coming in. Duke, I wanted to get to the Monday Night Football game with you because we're going to talk baseball and a little hockey here in the 9 o'clock hour. 38-30. Detroit looked really good again. I mean, what's the concern level here for Baltimore when 2 games the opposition's run the ball down their throats?
It's a good question because if we recall last year, Baltimore's defense started quite slowly out of the gate as well and had a lot of people asking, like, the names of names that are on this team, the performance should be much better than what's been put on the field. And now through 3 games, I think that's a fair question yet again. I wonder, to teams like the Ravens, and I mean, like, look, the Lions, yes, they did get after Lamar Jackson quite a bit. They still gave up 30 points, right? Like, that's 30 points wins you a lot of football games in the NFL.
Yeah.
When you have as high-powered of an offense as teams like the Ravens possess, and your defense, like, they're not the Cowboys, right? In terms of the obvious deficiencies that they possess, do you kind of look at it and say, we know our offense is going to keep us in games, win us plenty of games, give the defense time to come around? I have to think that internally, the concern is probably pretty low, actually.
I have to get to this text because it came from my brother, who, for the most part, is the second smartest male in the family, of the Karius family. And this is something that really, and I never even thought about it, because in Edmonton, it's tarped off in the end zone. So he's in Saskatchewan. So he has sent this text in. So think about Saskatchewan. When you watch the field of play from whatever, the end zone, looking to where the Pilsner stands are, Duke, you know where I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay. So if you watch a game at Mosaic Stadium and you're looking at the fans at where all the Pilsner signs and that they're all standing up on the thing there, those seats now are going to be 15 yards further from the back of the end zone. Would that be correct? I guess they'd cut it in half. So 10 yards, they're moving at 10 yards and 5 in the end zone. So those seats, and there's other stadiums too in the CFL where you sit in the end zone, right, and you're kind of on top of the game. Ottawa's another situation, right? Hamilton a little bit too. Did we see, we saw those seats, right, Duke? Because it's more for the game itself. My brother texted and said, seats from the current 10-yard line and in the end zone will have less people. Getting too far from the game for my eyes will not entice fan participation. I hope field length is reconsidered. All stadiums will be like Commonwealth with the track. And how many times has Eddie Steele said that the fans are too far away at Commonwealth Stadium, Duke? Many times.
Well, think about that for Commonwealth. That gap's just getting even bigger. Right? And I know there's some discussion about how teams will adapt and best utilize this newly available space. Like, do you have seating, like field level seating, like a beer garden type situation, like right there? Now, that's great for environment, but you cannot see a lick, right? Like you're watching plays that happen in the end zone right in front of you and nothing else.
Yeah. Even Eddie said a few of us alum talked about this yesterday. A lot more dead space at Commonwealth Stadium,
where there's already more dead space than anywhere else in the league.
Yeah.
So it's a tough spot. Maybe this is hey, if this takes little extra motivation for what the new stadium might look like all of a sudden.
Larry Thompson, you need a new stadium.
Yeah. Get on it, Larry. We need it better, worse than ever now.
How about this then? Then Duke, he builds a new stadium and then they decide to narrow the field.
Yeah. Actually, we're going to but you think about this, Kevin. Mosaic is not that old. And that is a huge project and infrastructure investment for a place like Regina, which, yes, it is the capital city in Saskatchewan, all these, but it is not that big of a place. And that's a huge undertaking. And it's supposed to be the focal point of the city.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden parts of it are rendered to an extent obsolete.
Mill Creek Dog Walker says, hey, Kevin, a large majority of the football fields are owned by the city of Edmonton. Work to change these fields would be capital projects stretched over years of multiple capital budgets. This is from a former parks operations supervisor. Lots more to talk about this subject as the morning progresses. We're going to bust away and talk a little baseball when we come back with Chad Jennings from The Athletic, covers the Boston Red Sox and Major League Baseball. That's coming up at the top of the hour. Also, Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and the Daily Faceoff. Before all that, time now for a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Harley Davidson of Edmonton on Yellowhead Trail, locally owned and operated by the Kent family and celebrating 45 outstanding years. Harley Davidson of Edmonton on Yellowhead Trail. Here is the Duke.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Week 3 of the NFL wrapping up last night from Baltimore. The Lions run wild over the Ravens, 38-30 the final, 224 total yards on the ground between Montgomery, Gibbs, and Jared Goff, including 4 touchdowns. NHL preseason action last night. Sabres blanked the Jackets 4-0. Habs passed the Penguins 2-1 in a shootout. Hurricanes fall into the Lightning 2-1, and the Ducks put up a half dozen on the Mammoth, 6-1 the final from Anaheim. And light day in the majors as the regular season hits its final week. Nationals losing to the Braves 11-5. Padres over the Brewers 5-4. That one in a couple extra innings. And the Cardinals sneak past the Giants 6-5. Coming up in hour 3 of the Kevin Karius Show, we'll be joined by Chad Jennings from The Athletic, covering the Boston Red Sox as well as Oilers Nation's Tyler Yaremchuk. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Can I take your order? Yeah, can I get a... yes. A common reaction from a veggie lover. Always scanning, searching, longing. But wait, what is this we see? The new McVeggie. Now at McDonald's.
At Fountain Tire, we're fluent in saving you money.
Fluent?
Yes, we've mastered the language of deals. Like right now, you can save up to 25% off select tires and up to $125 off a set of 4 select Goodyear tires. Plus, $50 off $150 service when you buy those tires. All until October 18th.
I'm sorry, I don't speak deals.
Spend less, save more when you buy round black things from us.
Oh, got it.
Restrictions apply. Book your appointment online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
Edmonton Elks Indigenous Celebration is back, presented by No Frills, September 27th versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders, featuring Indigenous dance and drum halftime performances, pregame makers market, and the unveiling of our brand new Indigenous gear. Tickets at goelks.com.
Weekly NFL giveaways, drink specials, huge screen TVs. The hits keep coming at First Round, Edmonton's NFL headquarters. Watch NFL football at First Round, and you could win a trip to your favorite NFL city for a regular season game next season. Catch NFL action Thursday nights, all day Sunday, starting with the Pro Bowl brunch from 10:30 to 2. Then Monday night with half-price boneless wings after 6 p.m. First Round, burgers, beer, sports. Downtown and Bourbon Street, West Edmonton Mall.
God said, I need somebody to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, go to town, and stay all night at a meeting of the school board. So God made a farmer.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. We are so thankful God made a farmer. For the month of September, it is our goal to feed 500 families. With every vehicle sold, we will feed a family of 4. So please help us reach our goal. Visit us online at northgategm.com.
At jackpotcity.net, you can do amazing things with just one casino chip.
Discover a world of incredible casino games with over 500 high-quality online slot games, including the world-renowned progressive jackpot slot Mega Moolah. Play for free at jackpotcity.net and get treated as a VIP 24/7. So visit jackpotcity.net today on your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City, a whole world of casino games. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
Stories, guests, and insights. This is Sports 1440 and the Kevin Karius Show.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 9:01 in Edmonton. Time now for the game of the day, brought to you by St. Albert Dodge, where 2025 Jeep Wrangler 1500s have 0% financing for up to 72 months. Great selection, too, with all the new colors, the Sport Willys, Sahara, even the Rubicons are on the lot at stalbertdodge.com. Game of the day has got to be Boston and Toronto, Major League Baseball. Time to welcome in Chad Jennings from The Athletic, covers the Red Sox in Major League Baseball. Morning, Chad. You're with Kevin Karius. Thanks for jumping on Sports 1440 this morning. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Kevin.
Well, what are we looking at here tonight? I mean, a 3-game set where Boston is just fighting for its playoff lives in the wild card. 3 back of the Yankees, but Cleveland and Houston coming. What's the feeling? What's the mindset with the Red Sox heading down in this final week of the season, Chad?
Well, it's kind of become a little bit of a mess on both sides, right? In terms of in both leagues. I mean, the AL and the NL down at the bottom of the wild card. I mean, this was, gosh, you go back 2-3 weeks ago. I live up here outside of Boston, and my 8-year-old has gotten very into baseball, and I've been assuring him for weeks that yes, the Red Sox will be in the playoffs. Don't worry, this is kind of a done deal. And I might have been lying to my child here, that because it started to slip, and out of nowhere, the Guardians have made themselves relevant, played their way back into this. So the Red Sox really are kind of fighting for something here. I don't know that a few weeks ago I would have thought this series made much of a difference, but it really does. And I think they have Giolito going today. Is that right? Yeah, Giolito.
Yeah. It'll be Giolito up against Kevin Gausman.
Against Gausman, who's been great. So it's a big one for the Red Sox. I think they thought they'd fought their way back into this and we're going to have a shot at it, but they've got to get in.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people felt, Chad, that Houston or Seattle would be going down the stretch here, but all of a sudden you mentioned Cleveland 9-1 in their last 10, challenging Detroit in the Central. What's got into this team here?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, you look at their roster and you think, what is this? It's Jose Ramirez and his band of merry men. But they've, look, Stephen Kwan has started to hit a little bit again. He'd kind of had a down year. They really weren't getting any offense. It was Ramirez and the DH Manzardo. He'd been hitting, but that was kind of it. You think of the Guardians pitching, right? Mm-hmm. But again, we know Clase with the gambling investigation, and they lost that bag and starter on that. I mean, it's not the pitching staff you associate with them. Shane Bieber obviously not there anymore. So it's really kind of stunning that this team is making this run. Obviously, the Guardians at the trade deadline didn't think this was coming, but it's coincided with the Red Sox, as we talked about, not keeping up some of that momentum. And the Astros, they've had some injuries now. Their pitching staff's not what it was. Back into their rotation's kind of a mess. They don't have Josh Hader. They've slipped a lot, and just the door has opened up. And as you mentioned, the Tigers, who for a while, I mean, they looked like the safest playoff bet in baseball, right? They were a good team in a terrible division, and now that's just all falling apart. Guardians coming in, and they could sneak past them.
What about that series here, Chad, coming up starting tonight? We got Gavin Williams up against Tarek Skubal, the first of 3, Detroit and Cleveland. Man, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's a big one. And again, big for, they've got Skubal. That's the difference maker with the Tigers, right? Even if they can get in, the Tigers are funny because they kind of mix and match a lot. They're not, they don't really steal bases. It's not like they have like this one sort of standout slugger or anything, but they but they have Scooble, and and they're to be able to throw him in this game tonight, what has become a huge matchup for them, that's big. And then again, if they can get in the opportunity to use Scooble in game one, that can be a difference maker.
Well, who knows, Chad? We might see Scooble and Lucas Giolito because Detroit's in Boston. Final game of the season next on this Sunday. It could be Scooble and Giolito. That game could have massive implications moving forward here.
True, and also they might need Scooble in that game. So as much as you're saying like, hey man, this could line up where they get to pitch Scooble in game one, they might have to burn him just to secure a playoff spot.
Chad Jennings from The Athletic covers the Boston Red Sox and Major League Baseball with us on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. I just wanted to get to your article. I gotta bring this up here, Chad. You and Stephen Nesbitt had an article about the top pitching staffs moving into the playoffs, and you got the Toronto Blue Jays all the way down here. What am I? I started swiping down here, Chad. I'm going, okay, I'm at 6, I'm at 7, I'm at 8, I'm at 9. I'm going, maybe did you forget about the Jays or what? You got them down to 14. Why?
The numbers are what they are. And look, now Gossman, though, lately has been so good that maybe that's the difference. The reality is, even as Nesbitt and I were doing this, we're going, are we going to put the Dodgers first? Is that really where we're going to end up here?
Yeah.
But look around. I mean, so many teams, the Phillies lose Zach Wheeler. It just happened the other day where the Brewers lose Brandon Woodruff, right? Like I don't know that there's a pitching staff on that list that you look at and go like, oh, that's got all the things you need, right? Like every team pitching wise is pretty flawed. And I don't know, again, when Stephen and I both sort of initially made a list that was just sort of our gut instinct. And I think we both had the Blue Jays a little bit higher, but then you start looking at numbers and you're like, I don't know. I mean, the numbers just haven't been there, right? Jeff Hoffman has had some really good stretches, but he's also been a little bit prone to some blowups. The rest of the rotation behind Gossman, big names certainly. I mean, they're like talent for days, but where are they now, and how much is that going to show up? I think we even wrote in there that's of all the teams that you'd most enjoy watch prove us wrong, the Blue Jays would be the most fun, right? Because look, if some of those guys come in here and just shove in the playoffs, that would be, given the resumes and the names involved, that'd be a lot of fun to watch. But just based on the numbers and production they've had this year, it kind of feels like outside of Gossman, just a lot of question marks there.
So let's just say the Blue Jays were to, win the division and have a bye here into, the baseball playoffs. Gossman, in my mind, starts without question game one. Yeah. Who would you have as the starter for game two for the Jays?
That's part of it, right? I mean, do you go with, I don't know. I mean, Bassett could get it right. He's kind of lined up where he could be healthy again and able to go. Scherzer is who he is. Bieber has been pretty good since he got over there. 6 starts, though. I mean, it's not a ton. I don't know. And I think that's some of where the ranking is where it is, where you go like, all right, what next, right? Like, what are you doing after this? And I think that's where you run into a little bit of uncertainty with them.
Yeah, I think it probably will be Bieber at number 2, and then see how things shake down. And
right.
I mean, Scherzer, if he starts locating some certain pitches, he still got it. But I mean, he had a really rough outing the last one.
Yeah. Well, with Scherzer, you're just hoping for it's Scherzer.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's a little bit like some of the times when the Dodgers the last few years have thrown Kershaw. And it's like, is there one of these moments where, for whatever, 4 or 5 innings, the old Scherzer shows up? But I think you're probably right. Bieber, obviously I haven't watched him every game there, but I mean, he's pitched well. He's a similar thing, right? A guy, Cy Young winner, his best moments are still pretty good.
Chad Jennings from The Athletic, our guest on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. On that list, Chad, what was it that Seattle, you got Seattle at 3, right behind Philly, and as you mentioned, Wheeler out. But what is it about Seattle that you don't have him at 2? Is it just the fact that Johan Duran's, one of the best closers going right now?
Yeah, I think that's some of it. Also just that emergence of Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies feels like a big deal. There's just feels like a lot of options there for the Phillies. Also, the Mariners, as good as they are, again, the numbers this year are not that great. Like Logan Gilbert has not necessarily been the guy who's going to get Cy Young votes, right? Like we've seen him be in the past. Wu was really good, but second half not as good. He started to come back around a little bit here lately. Just a little bit more of that. I think it's more just the you look at that staff, and I think Nesbitt and I both felt like that's the best staff in the American League. But you're trying to justify some of it with some numbers there, and the numbers weren't quite as prevalent for them, and just feel like there's enough depth there with the Phillies to, even without Wheeler, keep them up. But we were talking about that, like, Dodgers, Phillies, Mariners, Brewers, we're all kind of, I think you can make a case for all of them, but all flawed. Like there is not a flawless staff out there, especially considering that, the way the Dodgers bullpen has been lately, the real problems there. Obviously the upside's tremendous, but could see it falling apart.
Chad Jennings with us on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440, covers Major League Baseball and the Boston Red Sox, and that's where we're going to go to now. And can you give us any status update on Roman Anthony on IL? Is he going to be back anytime soon? Because he's just one of those key cogs of that youthful movement going on in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're expecting him back by the end of the year, and he's he really was a big difference maker for them. When he came up, he really solidified things. Pretty soon he was hitting leadoff every day. That's a big loss for them. Now they did just get Wilyer Abreu back to play right field, and that's another huge bat because right field had become kind of a mix and match. They've been using this kid Nate Eaton, who that signed a minor league deal and has been up and playing pretty regularly. Now he's played fine, but again, it's the Boston Red Sox. That's not sort of what you're expecting to be as your regular right fielder. So getting Abreu back has helped. Obviously, they went through that. They went through a pretty long stretch when they didn't have Bregman. Trevor Story has started to hit again. He kind of got off to a slow start to the season, but he's been better. So I think there are some good things happening for them. But obviously, we're seeing some of the slide here late in the year. There are some flaws where they have some depth issues that have come up to bite them. I mean, that their top three in their rotation, Crochet, Bayo, Giolito, like that looks pretty good, but now they're having to sort of round it out with some kids that they've just recently brought up from AAA. It's depth has started to become a problem for them.
Yeah, one of those kids, Connolly Early. I watched him pitch that first game on that Monday night. He just reminded me of just some loopy young lefty, and he bouncing around the dugout. What's the reaction to this young guy since he's been called up?
Yeah, they have this kid Tolley too. It's exciting that the Red Sox have for years struggled to develop pitching, and that's one of the main reasons they brought in Craig Breslow to kind of run baseball ops. Former big league pitcher, had run pitching for the Cubs, and just some thought that he could remake this. And these two kids coming up here at the end of the year are some sign that that's working. Also getting Bayo to be more productive. Garrett Whitlock getting healthy again and really solidifying the back of the bullpen. So the reaction to it has been very good. And I think people are very excited about these two kids. But again, it's two kids who hadn't pitched in the major leagues until September. So how much do you really want to lean on them come October? I still think that the plan for the Red Sox is to lean on those top three. Hope you can get as much out of them as you can.
And I think are most Red Sox fans quite happy with what the future entails here with, you mentioned Roman Anthony, but, Christian Campbell's, he came up and struggled a little bit, sent down. Marcelo Mayer hurt. Are they happy with the direction of a youth movement with still some veterans there?
Are Red Sox fans happy? What in the world? No, I think that there is, for sure, there's excitement here. There is some sense of, when Anthony comes up and as productive as he is. But as you mentioned, Christian Campbell makes the team out of spring training. He's going to be every day at second base. This kid has batted ball data that's, out of this world. He was pretty hot for 2 weeks. The league figured some things out, and he's been in the minor leagues since relatively early in the season and hasn't come back. Marcelo Mayer, another huge prospect, came up, played okay, and then got hurt and has been out for a while. So as much as it does seem like and obviously then you had through the whole Rafael Devers thing right in the middle of the season, they end up trading this mainstay of the franchise. So it's been a very weird year in that regard, but I do think that there's at least some optimism here that some things are starting to work. You go back to Jaron Duran last year. Cedon Rafaela looks like he's a superstar defender in center field. So there are good things happening, but all of that's been mixed in with, another year where now at the end of the season, they're struggling to find arms. Another year when Tristan Casas is hurt. Again, two of the three big bats they brought up from the minor leagues haven't stuck around. There are definitely issues here that have not yet been fixed. So happy, sure, but with some reservations, I think.
Yeah, that's both Sox fans, man. That's been going for 100 years for sure. Chad Jennings with us on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Just one last one on the National League, Chad. And can you believe the Cincinnati Reds are in the conversation here with a week to go?
No, I mean, I genuinely cannot. It is. I will say early. So we do these power rankings every week, and I'm one who votes for them. And you always look at, the run differential wasn't bad, and it was almost. I felt like every week when I was trying to figure out where to rank them, I want to find a way to justify ranking them higher just because of that. Like there's some decent things here, but it just wasn't happening. It just continually wasn't happening. Right. And so eventually you just are like, well, this just isn't going to work. But now that they're in it, you start to look at one of their greatest strengths is they almost had too much starting pitching, which is an impossibility, but they do. They haven't, their rotation now is good enough and deep enough that they've been able to push some of those starters, Nick Martinez, Chase Burns, into the bullpen, which has helped the pen. The pen had been a weakness. And so you do wonder, are they a little bit better lined up here at the end of the season where they can use all of their pieces a little bit better? They actually made additions at the trade deadline, which I don't think was a given where they were. And so some of this is playing out for them. And that's, again, it's interesting to see. I do wonder, but I'm surprised. Yes. I mean, I didn't see either of the Ohio teams being remotely relevant in the last week of September. And here we are, that they're maybe the two most exciting stories in baseball are these two teams that we'd all counted out and are suddenly in the playoff mix.
Can you imagine a Cincinnati-Cleveland World Series?
I'm sure Major League Baseball is like dying for that to happen. They'd be thrilled.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Chad, great stuff. Appreciate your time. Enjoy this 3-game set, Red Sox and Jays. Looking forward to it on this angle as well. Take care, man.
Sounds great. Thank you.
That's Chad Jennings from The Athletic, covers the Boston Red Sox. And our game of the day, which is tonight, the Blue Jays, Kevin Gausman up against Lucas Giolito. And then the Red Sox actually finished with Detroit. Again, we mentioned that. Who knows? This is going to be a wild week when it comes to Major League Baseball and all the crazy races in the wild card. Not just the wild card, but the divisions. I mean, when you look, the American League Central, there's no way that this was a race 3 weeks ago. No one ever thought it was going to turn out to be this. The game of the day brought to you by St. Albert Dodge. The biggest sale of the year is on right now. Our in-stock Ram 1500 Sports, all discounted by a whopping $14,000. Check them out at stalbertdodge.com. When we come back, the old Chucker, Tyler Uremchuk, will be with us from Oilers Nation and the Daily Faceoff. That's coming up on the Kevin Karius Show with the Duke of Delburne on Sports 1440, and we're streaming on YouTube and X.
Work never gets done by standing around. You have to put your words into action. And that's exactly what GS Construction does every single day. Our priorities are safety first, quality second, efficiency third. GS Construction works hard. It's true. But first comes the care, the planning, and the people. Underground infrastructure isn't just about machines and trenches and some traffic inconveniences. It's about doing things right. Find out more on what we do. Visit gsconstruction.ca.
Wing Wednesday at First Round. Whether you're coming for the first round, the last round, or a few rounds in between, they've got you covered with half-price wings every Wednesday night. Half-price wings. Over 35 delicious flavors like Cajun salt and pepper, maple bacon, and Inferno wings. Now half price every Wednesday night. Wash them down with a cold pint of Canadian or Coors Light for only $5.75. Half price Wing Wednesdays at First Round in West End and now downtown. First Round, burgers, beer, sports.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Batshaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
You have done something you can't be forgiven for. Crave is the exclusive home of HBO originals, including Task, the new crime thriller from the creator of Mayor of Easttown. I'm going to take their money so we can have a better life. Starring Emmy winner Mark Ruffalo.
If things go terribly wrong, people want to know why God let it happen.
And Emmy nominee Tom Pelfrey.
Have I almost thought, oh yeah, we never did anything like this.
Task, an HBO limited series. Stream now, only on Crave. Subscribe at crave.ca.
It's happened again, and construction season is in full swing. Job delayed, money lost, and clients disappointed because your rigging failed and it wasn't inspected. Don't let this happen to you. Have your lifting slings, fittings, hoisting tools, and safety harnesses checked with Titan Supply. Titan Supply offers certified on-site and in-house rigging inspections and service, so they can repair it, replace it, and recertify it. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary, and at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 921 in Edmonton, and time now for the Puck Report brought to you by Fountain Tire. Hey, if you need tires right now, but your wallet isn't ready, well, Fountain Tire is the place to be. We got you covered with 0% financing for 6 months or easy equal payments over 12, both with no interest. Road ready should mean wallet ready too. See us at fountaintire.com, select locations as well. As we welcome in Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and the Daily Faceoff. How's it going, Chucker? Have you totally healed up after your big hole-in-one adventure there?
Oh yeah, I'm good to go. I've been golfing once or twice a week since then. I'm fine.
And have you been close to a hole-in-one since?
No, not even close. I think there was one hole where it was like 160 yards, and I was like, oh, here's my revenge. I put it within like 10 feet, and I was like, yeah, I'm never getting it.
No, I mean, the harder you try, the less it happens.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I almost had one last Tuesday at the Oilers Barry Cates tournament at the Glendale, like 2 inches away. I was like, oh man, could you imagine?
Yeah.
Have to stay around the Glendale and buy guys drinks all day.
Well, it's worse places to be.
Although I think you probably have, you've heard about that hole-in-one insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ticket, man. That's what you got to have. That's what
that's when you got to dial her in.
Mm-hmm. How long does it take you to get excited about training camp? Is it after the split squad games? Is it into 2, 3, 4 of the preseason?
Yeah, I think it's probably somewhere around like the middle portions of the preseason games. Like right now, I mean, you know, the rookie games were whatever. And then you start to hear some buzzing about guys who are playing well in camp. And it's like, okay. And then even the first couple preseason games, like, you know, you see a guy have a good game and it's like, okay, the quality of competition isn't exactly there. And even though I know some people are trying to make a big deal out of, oh, well, Calgary played a lot of veterans. Okay, veterans care way less about the preseason than the guys who are on the bubble or the American leaguers who are trying to make a name for themselves. Like right now, I just have a tough time putting much stock into anything. But by the time you get to games 4, 5, and 6 of the preseason, and maybe we start to see someone like Tomasek play with Connor McDavid, like then there might start to be some excitement. But for right now, I mean, guys can probably do more harm than good, I think is a fair way to put it.
You know, I went down to the second session yesterday. Most of the media were there for the first session, so I kind of had the lay of the land by myself for session number 2. I really kept an eye on a couple of guys, Alec Regula, who looked pretty good to me, to be honest with you, Tyler. And then I interviewed, after the session, I interviewed Trent Frederick. And I mean, this is a guy where he was really hurt last year. And I asked him straight up, like, what forward position do you like the best? Like, what's the best suited for you? He says, to be honest with you, I like right wing. I think I'm a better right winger than a left winger. I feel more comfortable than even at center. Do you think he could get a spin with Zach Hyman out on the top line here for a little bit with McDavid?
Yeah, I talked with Gregor about that. Like, he's a guy I'm definitely keeping an eye on, not just for those 5-on-5 minutes, but I'm even curious about how he would fit on the power play. I think, again, a big body. He scored 18 goals with the Boston Bruins, and in the season where he did it, his most common 5-on-5 line mates were Morgan Geekie and James Van Riemsdyk, who was well past his prime at that point. Like, again, at that time, he was playing center, but as a winger, like, the point I'm making is he's got good scoring touch and he's got a nose for the net. And we definitely haven't seen the best of Trent Frederic. He tried to rush it back in the regular season, had that game where he only played 7 minutes. And then the entire postseason, he was hampered pretty severely with that leg injury. So I'm excited to see Frederic. I would probably agree with him that his best position is on the wing. I don't think he's a centerman. Like, even watching that preseason game the other day, I mentioned guys can do more harm than good. Like, he looked like he couldn't really keep up as a centerman, and that was against, not the best quality of competition. So I see him as a winger on this Oilers team. I think their 3 best centermen for the top 9 are Connor Leon and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And yeah, with Hyman out, why not see if the guy you've committed to for 8 seasons can fit with Connor McDavid? Because if he does, and he ends up being someone who can be a relatively permanent fixture in the top 6, then all of a sudden you feel really good about that contract you gave him.
Yeah, and you know what, Chucker? They got a lot of options at 4C. They can do many, many things, whether it be taking Henrique off a left wing on line 3 and putting him at 4C. Janmark can play center down there too. He did it in the playoffs. So there's a lot of options that they have there. Where do you see Tomaszek here? Do you see him starting a little more with McDavid, seeing more action as we saw like early on in camp? Do you see a little more of that trying to build up?
Similar to Frederic, I don't think he's a centerman. And to your point, that's totally fine because you mentioned a handful of names, and then there's the Philps and Lazars, and Kapanen played center for stretches last year. Like, they have so many guys who can fill in on that bottom 6 role. And I don't think Tomasek's game is necessarily wired to be a 4th line center who's going to, take defensive minutes off your plate. Like, that's just not who he is. He's a big body who can shoot the puck. So play to his strengths and play him with skill. Playing next to McDavid, and Chris Knobloch talked about this when he was speaking about Howard and Savoy, like, playing with the big guns, yes, it means you're playing with the best players, but it also means you're playing against the other team's best players. So I wonder, for a guy like Tomasek, who's never played pro hockey in North America, is there an easier spot to kind of start his NHL career? Do you put him next to a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's still a very good player, who can still get him the puck in areas where he can score, but he doesn't have to go out there against the other team's best defensive centerman or their top pairing on a nightly basis? Like, is there a way you can kind of ease him into things? Put a guy like Frederic, who's more experienced at the NHL level, albeit a little bit younger than Tomasek, but ease Tomasek into this with some 3rd line minutes. And again, if you build a 4th line that's good defensively, you can look at a 3rd line that has Nuge and Tomasek and whoever's on the other side of it and go, yeah, we're going to give you a ton of ozone starts. We're going to give you opportunities to shoot the puck and to create some offense for us. Because I think building a 3rd line that can consistently outscore the opposition, something the Oilers have been searching for a while. And again, if Nugent Tomasek can be that, it'd be huge.
I always say pressure from the upwards, like, pressure going upwards from line 3 and 4, because no one wants to be on the 4th line. They strive to get on the 3rd line. No one wants to be in the 3rd line. They want to be in the top 6. It's just so important to keep that upward pressure going for success moving forward. Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation Daily Face-Off with us on the Kevin Carey Show on Sports 1440. Connor Clattenburg's not going to make the team out of camp, but he's getting a lot of love, and he's making an impression. He's trying to raise some awareness about what he can and cannot do. What have you seen from him, and what do you like so far?
He's got a sneaky little bit of scoring touch, which is surprising when you kind of look back at his numbers in junior. Like, he wasn't a guy who, even in his sort of last year in the OHL, was scoring 25 to 30 goals in the year because he was bigger and stronger than everyone. So to see him have some decent offensive touch has been the biggest surprise for me. And I had someone comment on my show the other day and was like, oh man, what if he could be like a Mason Marchment one day? And I kind of laughed at it, but then I went and looked, and they're unicorn players, but Marchment is a guy who is having the most offensive success of his hockey career right now. Like, go back and look at his numbers in Junior A in Ontario and in the OHL. Like, Mason Marchment never scored the way he did in the NHL. Like, some guys truly are just late bloomers. Now, the other thing, we can't get carried away. Guys like that usually need to play 2 or 3 full seasons in the minor leagues before they really figure it out. But the fact he's willing to fight, the fact he's, willing to drop the gloves, he plays physical, lays big hits, like, he checks a lot of the boxes that can lead to a guy getting a call up in sort of a 4th line role. Again, we're 18 months away from truly having this discussion seriously. But what I want to see from Clattenburg when he goes down to Bakersfield, and they did this with Savoy and Philp last year, teach him how to penalty kill. Like, I want him killing a ton of penalties, because if you're going to come up one day and be a bottom six winger on the Oilers, your path to getting a good amount of ice time is knowing how to kill penalties. Like, if he can get that tool in his toolkit on top of the physicality, on top of moving well and having some scoring touch, then maybe his path to the NHL isn't, 2 full seasons away. Maybe it is only a year and a half.
Tyler, you're Remchuk with us on Sports 1440. As far as rookies, like raw rookies, anyone catch your eye so far, maybe more than others, Chucker?
I mean, Lepinen's interesting. Again, he's not a guy who's going to break camp with this team, but I think it is worth noting that on the left side of their blue line, they have a couple of pending free agents in Ekholm and Kulak. And listen, if Lepinen has a good year down in Bakersfield and he's $1 million option for next year's team, maybe he changes the way you view one of those two pending free agents on your left side. But he's really interesting just because that puck moving ability, that's like a natural thing. It's really, really hard to teach guys that. So he's coming over with that already in his back pocket. If he learns how to defend at the North American, or defend in a North American style of play, he'll be a really interesting player. There's the obvious ones like Savoy and Howard, but Lepinen's been the one guy that's kind of raised an eyebrow for me.
I also was keeping an eye on Alec Regula yesterday at that session that I was attending, man. And I thought he was moving exceptionally well. I mean, there's something there. They wouldn't assign him to a 2-year deal. I think he's got the opportunity here that maybe some other teams may not have given him, Chucker, in the sense they give him that deal. How much do you think he can push here in the early going? And, I talked to Speck about it, just the fact that he hasn't played for a whole year. But he looked pretty darn good. He looks fast. He looks quick. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I'd put money on him playing a game with the Oilers this season. I mean, we know how many defensemen you usually need to make it through an 82-game season. I mean, we got to the playoffs last year, and Josh Brown was playing playoff games. So if you have a guy like Regula, who's comfortably your, whatever he'll be, your number 8 on your depth chart, I don't know. They clearly see something in him, because you don't put in a waiver claim for a guy knowing he's not going to basically play hockey for an entire season and then sign him to a 2-year deal before you even see him play a pro game in your organization. Like, there's clearly something here that they see. So I'm high on him, again, just because of those factors. And, he's not breaking camp with the team. Like, I see no reason, considering he hasn't played a hockey game in over a year, there's no reason to put him as your number 7 ahead of Troy Stetcher and have Regula sitting in the press box in the NHL for a month. No, put him in Bakersfield, let him go play 22 minutes a night for the first however long he needs to. And when there's an injury, call him up and give him a shot. But again, this is a guy who I think is higher than Josh Brown on the depth chart. He's higher than a Lepinen who hasn't played in North America. Like, we'll see him play this year, and I'm excited for when that happens.
Tyler, you're Remchuk with us on Sports 1440. I'm just seeing who the Jets are going to be playing tonight. Chucker, Perfetti, Taves, Nyquist, and that's really, the gist of a number 1 unit that they would put into preseason. On the back end, not a whole heck of a lot going on either. So I would imagine we're going to see not a great lineup for the Oilers in Winnipeg, but back tomorrow when Seattle's here. Maybe what do you think of how you handle a back-to-back here?
Yeah, again, you aren't playing guys on the back-to-back. There's no chance you're doing that. Knobloch said he's eyeing up kind of 3 to 4 games for McDavid, so that'll be preseason game number 4 tomorrow. Again, you don't want to be playing McDavid every second night through the preseason, so maybe tomorrow on home ice, that's an easy slot to just kind of throw in a couple of your more regular guys. But yeah, I don't think you're taxing anyone with a trip to Winnipeg for a preseason game. You dress the bare minimum amount of veterans that the rules say you have to, and you give a few more guys one more game until you probably make some pretty significant cuts on Wednesday or Thursday.
Who do you like in the forwards, like 13, 14? Where are you at, like with Philp, Lazar? I mean, with Hyman out for at least a month and a half here. I mean, it gives options for some players to maybe, insert themselves at 13, 14. What do you like down there?
Yeah, I mean, with Philp, he needs waivers now. So again, I don't know if anyone would necessarily claim Noah Philp, but that leaves me more inclined to put him on the roster versus try to sneak him through waivers. Although, I mean, better players than him will probably get through the waiver wire. Curtis Lazar, I think he's probably a lock to be one of those extra bodies, right? He's a good veteran. He's played that kind of role the past few years. And this isn't me saying he has no shot of being the team's 4th line center. Like, he'll get every opportunity to earn a position on this team, or maybe it's as a fourth line winger. Although, as we talked about with Thomasek and Frederick, like the depth chart kind of starts to fill up on the wings pretty quickly here. But I would say it's probably going to be Philp and Lazar, who are the two extra bodies on opening night. But again, 6 more preseason games to kind of figure out who's stealing jobs. I don't know if I really have a dark horse. Like, I've been impressed with Quinn Hudson. That's maybe one guy I didn't talk about in the rookie question. And I know a lot of people are liking Marhala as well, although both those guys, like, give them some games in Bakersfield. There's no sense having a 22, 23-year-old go and sit as your extra forward for a month when they could be killing penalties, getting power play time, playing 18 to 20 minutes a night in Bakersfield. Like, I just think where the Oilers are organizationally, you don't need to force a young kid on the roster just because you think he's maybe a little bit better than a Lazar or a Philp. Like, keep the guys who are a bit more veteran up for now. If they're sitting in the press box, it's not the end of the world. And, you know, if in December you feel like a Quinn Hudson is really just banging down the door, then you give him minutes then, but there's no need to put him on your opening night roster. Hamblin was impressive the other night too, but again, as much as I love the story, local guy, he's a quad A player, I think, if we're being totally honest.
Well, the thing, if you go back 2 years ago, he earned the trust of Chris Knobloch, because when Knobloch came in and they had injuries, Hamblin was one of the guys that was there and one of the guys that Knobloch had some trust in. So there's always that factor. One last one. Do you like Wallman on the right side with Nurse?
Yeah, and I'm really happy that, like, out of the gate, they just said we're committing to him being in this spot. And I said that before training camp. I was, you know, if you want to experiment with like Kulak playing with Bouchard a little bit and maybe like an Ekholm Emberson, like, sure, experiment away with those guys. Wallman on his offside with Darnell Nurse, that absolutely has to be your second pairing this year. So I'm happy they recognized that and just said right from Jump Street, those two guys are playing together. Let them build up their chemistry, get all their communication down. We know how important that is for a D pairing, and just don't mess with it. I don't want them to touch that pairing, whether it's failing or succeeding. Like, just leave it alone till Christmas and just see if you have something there.
What do you got cooking on DFO and Oilers Nation, Chucker?
We are getting back up. DFO Live starts 8 days from now. Next Wednesday, October 1 is when the new season kicks off. I'll have a new co-host. I think we're announcing that in a couple of days. So that's certainly exciting. And then same thing with Oilers Nation every day. We're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week. And then next week, starting October 1, I should say on Wednesday, we are back up in our big studio and we're ready to go for the season. So October 1 is our big start date.
Good stuff. Thanks for coming on. Always appreciate it. Talk soon, Tyler.
See you, Kevin.
That's Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and the Daily Faceoff and our Puck Report, brought to you by Fountain Tire. Hey, again, if you need tires right now, but your wallet isn't ready, this is the place to be. We got 0% for 6 months or easy equal payments over 12. No interest, both of them. Check them out at fountaintire.com. When we come back, we'll get to some of your texts, 833-401-1440. Check in with the Duke and have a little chit-chat as well. Kevin Karius Show with the Duke of Delburne on Sports 1440. And we're streaming on YouTube and X.
At Fountain Tire, get up to 25% off select tires, up to $125 off a set of 4 select Goodyear tires, and $50 off $150 service until October 18th. Restrictions apply. Book today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
Listen up, because you're not going to want to miss this. Right now is your chance to get in on Play Alberta's biggest offer ever. For a limited time only, new players can get up to a $1,000 casino bonus when they sign up. There's never been a better time to join the fun. Visit playalberta.ca today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
Game on. Sports 1440 is your front row seat to the wild world of sports. Local legends, national headlines, and everything in between. Your game, your station. This is Sports 1440.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League's Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Listen up, because we're about to tell you what nobody else will. There's a serious problem in auto service. The price you expect is almost never the price you pay. Big Toy Shop tells it like it is. No BS, no false inflated bill. It's just the honest service you need done quickly and done well at a price that doesn't make you feel like a chump. Take your ride to Big Toy Shop, 8315 Argyle Road. Call 780-298-2797.
Score an A-plus deal on 5G Ultra Home Internet from Explore. Switch to incredible internet speeds and get a $100 gift card for a limited time. Upgrade today at explore.ca.
Groceries, mortgage payments, family holidays, a new car. That's what profit shares look like for Vision Credit Union members. Each year, we return about 75% of our profits, $35 million last year, to the people who bank with us. Because at Vision Credit Union, when you're an owner, you get your share. Why not get yours? Learn how at whatsyourshare.ca. That's whatsyourshare.ca.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program. 941 in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne with you on Sports 1440. Josh Fenwick and Sam the Record Man in studio as well, streaming on YouTube and X. Hey, Duke, we talked about the Peyton and Eli thing and how you and I, we'd rather just watch the game. But I think I'm going to start recording that one and watch it at another time.
Yeah.
I think there's a few things that I've been starting to like, just that get thrown out there after.
Yeah, so when we've talked about this, I've always said like the segments that are really good or popular kind of make waves. They always surface on my timeline anyway, so I still get to watch them. And I assume you're referring to last night's edition of Peyton Manning's suggested rule changes in the NFL.
Okay, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. But the one I saw was that Peyton dug up the news conference video of Eli from 2010. And no one showed up.
Oh,
so there wasn't anyone there. And like, so it's just like, brother kind of giving the other brother a jab. And then Eli, he starts talking about the guy. I don't know if this was on the broadcast, to be honest with you. It might have been before. Some guy that came up to him in the airport. Did you see that one?
No.
And said, can I have your autograph? And Eli says, yeah, sure. And the guy said, well, I'm a big fan of yours, Michael. And Eli goes, well, I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what are you talking about. And he goes, well, you're Michael Phelps, aren't you? So the guy thought he was Michael Phelps, and Eli thought it was quite funny anyway. But I like when the brothers get going at each other.
They had Danny Dimes on
as
one of their guests last night, talking about his childhood bedroom, and he had the Peyton, the posters of Eli and Peyton up on the wall, and then they're like, "Oh, what would it look like now?" And Jones says, "Exactly like that. I think that picture was taken this morning." Still, he said, "Yeah, Eli was on his side, and then Daniel Jones' brother had the poster of Peyton over on the other side of the room." So that was where the good laugh. But I'll throw these at you. I was thinking about trying to work them in to an in or out question, but I couldn't really find a way because we're talking so much about the new CFL rules. I didn't want to cross contaminate. But these are Peyton's new NFL rules, and he went over them 5-1. So intercepted Hail Marys shouldn't count against quarterback stats.
Well, of course,
so it's a team interception, not a player interception. A false start or offsides, it's an equity penalty if you're inside the 10-yard line. His point here being if a offense on the 5-yard line has a false start, they have to move back to the 10. But if defense on the 5-yard line takes an offsides penalty, it's only half the distance to the goal rather than the full like you would get midfield. So he's saying there should be a little more equity there. Targets should not be an official statistic for receivers. And his reasoning was that it just makes all the receivers mad because it's a counted stat. So when they go back and look at their own box scores, they say, how did I only have 2 targets?
Right.
Essentially, batted balls are illegal.
What?
So the offensive lineman, if you're stonewalled at the line, you can't reach up and bat a ball. You're only allowed to if you're like in the quarterback's face.
Okay.
And then lastly, this was the best one. Cash payments on the field for late hits. So if you lay a hit as a defensive player that would get you a fine, likely after the game, instead of it just coming out of your paycheck, as is the case understandably now in the NFL, you have to go over to the sideline. There's an ATM there. You fill a suitcase with cash and bring it out and you actually pay the player that you laid the illegal hit on. You just pay him cash.
Sounds like Stuart Johnson should have Peyton on the payroll here.
It was a really funny segment because it was Peyton, obviously, in his big studio. He's doing this all on the 100-inch TV with the graphics and stuff coming up. Then it's just like the Eli on the side box of just the headshot. And they're having the conversation, and Peyton keeps like dismissing everything Eli says in the typical brotherly fashion. I had a really good laugh at it. And the cash payment one, because that was the last one he brought up. I laughed out loud. When he explained that one. He's like, yeah, you just go over the sideline, they have a suitcase full of money, and you bring it back and hand it directly to the player. It's like a shame thing. It's a public shame thing.
So you got to go to the locker room to get your ATM
No,
card,
there's an ATM on the sideline.
Yeah, but how do you get how you can access it? When they just have...
the trainer, the water guy, he has all your cards in his little belt there.
Oh,
with
really?
Else.
Yeah.
Well, that's my personal.
Yeah,
that's my personal suggestion for how it would work.
Did you know that Jerry Jones says that there will not be a Micah Parsons video tribute for week 4? Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah. There will not be a Micah Parsons video tribute.
How about, because I just had a really good laugh. We had Armando Salguero on yesterday talking NFL, and he's like, it's weird because I could have swore Jerry Jones told us all that the Packers run defense would get better without Micah Parsons. And like the Cowboys defense is so bad in every facet of the game. They can't get any pressure on the quarterback. They can't stop a lick in any level.
He sort of deadpanned. Some Jerry lied to me.
Yeah, some old senile owner lied to us.
Jerry lied to me, just the way he said it too. Yeah, kind of felt like he was really talking to Jerry, like one-on-one. Jerry lied to me. This week, Duke, there will be one team that is 1-3 to start the season.
And you're talking the AFC South?
Kansas City and Baltimore, right?
Yeah. Big one.
So one team's going to be 1-3 to start the year. That's, man, that's crazy to think that. I would have never thought that could possibly be with two of those teams like that, but I don't know. So we got Thursday, we got Seattle and Arizona, and you're saying that Seattle is the early favorite. This is going to be a pick-em game, is it not?
Well, it must be because we're watching. So once again, I'm just because I use the ESPN site for the scoreboards when I'm compiling my updates and stuff. They currently have Seattle as a 1.5-point road favorite, divisional game. Whereas we've been watching Sports Center on TSN here in the studio, and they use FanDuel. That is coming up as Cardinals 1.5-point favorite.
Really?
So this is another situation where we're going to have to check a few different books here and see what the consensus is.
And I think there's 2 Monday nighters, right?
Yeah, neither of them are particular. The best quarterback playing on Monday night by a mile is Bo Nix.
Yeah. Jets in Miami, both 0-3. Bengals 2-1. Thankfully, they got 2 wins. That might be the only 2 they get all year. And the Broncos at 1-2.
Currently on Play Alberta, I'm seeing Seahawks -1.
Okay. So we're looking at a pick 'em, and you were up first too.
It's my pick, yeah. So I'm just essentially gonna have to pick a winner.
Yeah, I know you'll take the Cardinals.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not really a Kyler Murray.
I see you taking the Cardinals, Duke. And now with you
home field, like, hey, divisional games are tough. on home field advantage for the Cards. It wouldn't be a bad pick, but I'm undecided still. I have to dig into my research.
Also, Duke, with the Survivor pool, and you're out.
Yeah, I'm out.
Eddie's out. The easy pick is Buffalo, obviously. They're home to the Saints.
Well, yeah.
But I think some people may have taken Buffalo. I'm not sure.
Yeah, a lot of people took them over Miami on Thursday night.
I might just blow you out of the water and take the Texans to beat the Titans. Could you imagine that?
That'd be great. I'd like the vote of confidence.
No, not a chance.
Oh.
Not a chance. Text 83340.
I think the Packers over the Cowboys seems like although the Packers let me down last week. So
yeah, I wouldn't touch that one. 833-401-1440 text line. Skippy texts in for the late hit penalty and withdrawal from the ATM. Did Peyton say if there was going to be that annoying $5 fee if you're not using your own bank's ATM card? That would probably be more of a pain in the ass for players than the late hit fine he was talking about. That's a pretty good little.
Yeah, but this would maybe be a question for somebody in a different, several gaps between tax bracket.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an NFL player or a pro athlete and you make millions of dollars every year, does that ATM transaction fee bug you just as much as it does schleps like me?
Some guys are like that, Duke.
Like straight up, because and it's a convenience thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the mall, like I'm with the credit union. There's one right across the street.
Yeah.
So if I know I'm going somewhere over the weekend or whatever, I need cash. When I leave work, I just go across the street and take out as much cash as I think I'll need, probably some extra. I hate using ATMs in bars, on site somewhere, wherever, where there's the fees associated with them. I despise it.
Yeah. I'm with you, Duke. But you're the same guy then will go to the bar and order a triple whiskey and ginger ale and have not a problem paying $20 for it.
Well, yeah, I get utility out of that. Like I always just, and because we've had several discussions about these like annoying inconveniences in life a lot on this show the past couple of years. Like I do not describe myself as a cheap person, but there are some things that you just hate paying for.
Mm-hmm.
And a drink at the bar. Now, if I'm going to some place where I order a beer and it's $12, I'll be like, what the hell is
let me
this?
ask you this. If you're driving around and you say you're credit union and you have a bank that is, and you know there's a credit union 3 miles away, will you drive to that ATM and use it instead of the convenient one that's right where you're driving across the street?
Am I in a rush?
I don't know.
If I'm not in a rush, then I have no problem.
You'll spend the $5 in gas to get to the
$5 in gas. I know it's steep right now. I don't think it's quite that steep. My truck's very economical. And because like in Delburne, right? That's the only thing there is. There's the credit union on Main Street, and it's conveniently right across from the bar.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
And so here you go, Kev. I'll throw this at you. In Delburne, it's Main Street. One side, the Delburne Bar and Hotel. There's dingers in there,
mm-hmm.
bar, food, whatever you want. There's an ATM inside the bar with the usual fees on it.
Yeah.
People that bank with the credit union, I see go and pull cash out of that instead of walking what is quite literally 80 feet across the street to the 24-hour ATM at the credit union. To me, that is ridiculous.
I wish I could tell the story of a guy I worked with in highway construction about close to 40 years ago. We were working way up north, Duke. We were in a place called Buffalo Narrows in Saskatchewan. This guy's name was Everett Paul. If I told you that, I'd get fired if I told it on the air, but I'll tell you later. It's still one of the classic lines of all time.
Does it involve a certain type of place where you might use the ATM?
ATM, yeah.
Like in a certain establishment.
But no. ATM cards were just coming in.
Yeah.
Like they were just coming in.
And was Bosco your code?
So, it says Costanza, eh? Bosco.
Bosco.
Yeah. Hey, we need your help here at Sports 1440 and more importantly, Sports Central, the bike drive. You know, we've been doing, this is the third year since we've been doing it. And we reached 1,000 bikes pretty easily, it seemed. But for some reason this year, it's a little bit more of a struggle. We got 447 total bikes after 3 weeks. We're doing one more bike drop this Saturday. And so we'd like to get to 1,000. We need 500 bikes, man. So, and Sports Central donates like 350 bikes per month to kids aged to 4 to 17. So the next bike drop is going to be on the 27th, Bonnie Doon Shopping Center, Fountain Tire West, Londonderry, Atchison, Beaumont, Riverbend, United Sport and Cycle. And again, we got 447 so far. We'd like to get to 1,000. That's a big stretch. So if we can have a big week here and a big week on Saturday, that would be unbelievable. Hopefully people can come through because Sports Central needs it. The kids need it. The kids need it for sure. Coming up top of the hour, we're going to go in or out with the Duke. We got Dean Brown from the Ottawa Senators play-by-play team. We'll check in as well. Before that time now, for a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor, the best place for wine, cocktails, and beers from all over the world. Also, a variety of excellent non-alcoholic options. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com. Here is the Duke.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Full slate of NHL preseason games tonight, including the Oilers out in Winnipeg, taking on the Jets. Do not expect to see many Oilers regulars in the lineup. You can watch this one on Oilers Plus with a subscription. Puck drop coming just after 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Elsewhere, Red Wings hosting the Blackhawks. Maple Leafs taking on the Senators. Flyers in Montreal against the Habs. And the Calgary Flames hosting the Seattle Kraken. In the majors, Blue Jays' final homestand of the year getting underway as they take on the Red Sox in the first of 3 from Rogers Center. First pitch just after 5. It'll be Kevin Gausman going for Toronto. Lucas Giolito countering for the Bo Sox. Elsewhere, Rays taking on the Orioles, Tigers, and Guardians in a huge pivotal AL Central matchup. Mets are in Chicago against the Cubs. Mariners hosting the Rockies. And the Houston Astros are in Sacramento against the Athletics. WNBA playoffs resuming tonight. Mercury taking on the Lynx for a 5:30 tip-off. And then at 7:30, the Fever going up against the Aces. Both those series currently 1-0 in favor of Minnesota and Indiana. Coming up in hour 4 of the Kevin Karius Show, we'll check in with a new edition of In or Out and be joined by Ottawa Senators play-by-play man, Dean Brown. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, the Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Some people wake up and get dressed for work in a suit and tie or a nice dress. At GS Construction, we're less fashion forward and more putting our best foot forward. We wear hard hats and steel toe boots, and most importantly, we wear 50 years of experience with pride. It's not glamorous, it's definitely not easy, but it matters. We do it well. So if you'd like to be part of something where your work matters, GS Construction is hiring. Just remember, when you come for an interview, ditch the tie. See more at gsconstruction.ca.
Experience a season of superior luxury, performance, and savings. The Fall Experience event is on now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. The all-new redesigned 2026 XC90 is here. Come drive one today. You won't be disappointed. Finance or lease a 2026 XC40 from 1.99%. And right now, you can save $7,500 on remaining 2025 XC60s. The Fall Experience event is on now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Visit volvocarsedmonton.com.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and you'd think that as a used RV expert, I'd be a real do-it-yourself guy. Oh, I know all the dirty and grungy stuff that has to be done to keep your quality used RV healthy, and I actually don't like doing it. That's why I hired a whole service team at No Bull. I get to talk about it on TikTok, and they get their hands dirty.
Gotta be some perks to being the boss, Rick.
That's right, Bob. It's only fair that I share it with everyone, which is why we created our Camp Ready Club. Here's how it works. For one low monthly cost of just $30, we'll do your spring opening, fall closing, and all your regular scheduled maintenance on your used RV.
Plus, club members get priority discounts and perks as well.
You know it, Bob. Camp Ready means you've got everything you need. But if you require service or repair during the peak summer season, Camp Ready members go to the front of the line to get you back to the great outdoors faster.
And that's No Bull. NoBullRV.ca.
Groceries, mortgage payments, family holidays, a new car. That's what profit shares look like for Vision Credit Union members. Each year, we return about 75% of our profits, $35 million last year, to the people who bank with us. Because at Vision Credit Union, when you're an owner, you get your share. Why not get yours? Learn how at whatsyourshare.ca. That's whatsyourshare.ca.
Stories, guests, and insights. This is Sports 1440 and the Kevin Karius Show.
All right, welcome back to the big program just after 10 o'clock in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne with you on Sports 1440. Jen Kish, Duke, rolling by the studio. We have her
just
on.
chatting with her last night.
Yes, so we're going to have her on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So she was with Jackie Ray there, obviously doing something with the rugby. I can't wait for this game.
This is a big deal. Very big deal.
I asked Josh about it, the time for the last game, and he said it was 3:00 in the afternoon. It was at 12. It was 3 hours off. I was surprised when he said 3. It should have been 3 hours later, not earlier. No comment, Joshy boy. Nothing. He just doesn't say anything.
Time zones are confusing.
And it was funny. I don't know if you were here that day, to be honest with you.
No, that's when it was the Tuesday I was gone.
But Sam, the record man, says, "Okay, what is this? Something da 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 G?" And he thought it was, I don't know what he said, but then Josh said Greenwich time, and like between the two of them, this game could have been played on the moon at midnight.
We had our best minds on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Time now for Are You In or Out?
Okay, you know what? Moving too fast. Bottom line, are you in or are you out? In or out of what? No time for questions, just action. In or out. Well, then I'm out. I'm sorry, Jet. Actually, you're already in.
Are you in or are you out?
On Sports 1440.
I thought you would go, I'm in, Bob. We would have had a really cool moment, but you kind of ruined the whole thing.
All right, Duke, just before you let her talk, big news with the Oilers. Contract AAP, you want to get a little hotter, 2.95. 3-year contract. 2.95. Just releasing it moments ago, and they just got signed. Pods, yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. I've been a big supporter of Vasily Podkolzin since joining the team, even when the goals haven't been coming maybe as often as some would have liked to see with the minutes he was afforded. But love the way he plays the game hard, plays it pretty honest. So, and
the other factor here, Leon loves playing with him.
Yeah, that's it's what you talked about, the benefit of playing with the top players, right? Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. That means you have to play against the other team's best. Leon Draisaitl says it. He wants to be in the consideration for the Selke Trophy. Vasily Podkolzin showed himself very capable of playing that type of a role alongside Leon last year. Defensively responsible, gets in on the forecheck, bangs bodies, possession type player. I like the move a lot for the Oilers.
Yep.
We're going to start, however, in the CFL, as of course yesterday announcing big changes yesterday for both the 2026 and 2027 seasons. A phase in, slowly type project as announced by the commissioner. The change that has so far, and I think will continue to face the most pushback, is the shortening of the field.
I'm going to go in on this one. And again, even just talking with a guy like Justin Dunk, and that's the one thing that he's heard the most about. And to me, again, everyone is saying because of the field goals being pushed back to the back of the end zone, they feel that there will be more time spent if they left it at 110. I don't know if that's a fact. I don't know how you can say there's research being done on this because it's never happened. Like, what would happen if they just said, okay, we're going to put the field goal posts at the back of the end zone. We're going to leave it at 110. And you play a year, Duke. So you play a year. Would you consider the more research and more data, stats that would come to play here? And then you'd have more of a gauge. Again, to me, the bigger thing is going to be happening at the 35-yard line, but I'm going to be in. Yeah, the most pushback by far is the shortening of the field.
Because my closest second to this was the move, and something we've talked about a lot already this morning, the goalpost moving to the back. But I understand I'm talking out to a collection of some real lifelong diehard CFL fans that things like the Rouge and the goalpost being the front of the end zone, these are like intrinsically Canadian features. Yep. But it doesn't mean that you can't change and make things better with aforementioned change. So the shortening of the field, like, I just don't really get it. What benefit it provides. I guess, as we said, eliminate some of that so-called dead area midfield.
Again,
but if what you're talking about, that the field goals now are just as, like, the dead area is just as long.
The dead area is going to be at the 35-yard line.
Yeah. Now, with all of this in mind, players, Nathan Rourke, some coaches out in Winnipeg, and plenty of fans expressing their discontent with the changes, whether in collective or individual pieces of them. The reality is the CFL needed to make some changes or, quite frankly, go extinct.
I'm probably going to be out on this one to say the league would go in the toilet and fold.
I'm not saying it would happen in 2 years, but the numbers financially do not lie.
Again, 7 teams lost money. The league, how many times have you heard me say, Duke, since we started this show, the league's dying on the vine?
Yeah.
100 times I've said it, maybe more. But they do things to themselves. Even the commissioner yesterday brought up the stupid CBS time slot at 5:00 Mountain Time on Sundays to have a game in there. And he mentioned it, specifically mentioned it. I don't think the league would go in the toilet if they didn't make these changes. I think, again, there's other problems. They have bigger problems than the ones that they addressed here.
Yeah, but like these problems, like the issue the league faces are financial. So how do you remedy that? You get new viewers, new fans.
They're not drawing any new viewers to this. They're not drawing any new viewers because they moved the goalpost back, or they shortened the field, or the time clock. There's no way they're going to say, oh, we got a whole bunch of people saying, we love this game now. It's going to be the same as it was before as far as viewership goes and as far as attendance goes.
So what would your counter then be?
Well, the counter is, to me, and it's what Justin Dunk asked the commissioner, will you ever say, can you say never that you're going to go to 4-down football? He wouldn't answer the question. So, again, and he wouldn't, and Justin said, well, I can't put a timeline on it. And how can he? But to me, this is down the road where if you want to succeed financially and flourish, at some point, you're going to have to line up with the NFL. I said that for a couple of years now. And this is a little step, Duke. I mean, it's short.
It is
2
a
out of the
step
3
towards
things.
that.
2 out of the 3 things now, the field is exactly the same as the NFL. The same.
Well, it's wider.
Yeah, no. They changed 2 out of the 3 things. Who gives a crap about 5 yards more in the end zone? But they shortened it to 100 yards. The next step, what's it going to be? 5 years from now, when more teams aren't able to strive financially, then they shorten the field. Shorten the width of the field, and they go to 4 downs.
Okay, so then what you're saying to me is that you would be in on this because you're saying the league is going to continue to die unless they change. And in your mind, it's changed completely to an American version of the game, but it's still change. And these are steps in that direction.
I guess what I'm saying, Duke, let's just say 6 years down the road, 5 years down the road, if the commissioner is still the commissioner and he goes and holds a news conference and says, we cannot move on. without the NFL. We have to go to the same rules, direction, everything. Here's the numbers. This team can't survive.
So
that team can't survive. So maybe
you just told me that these rule changes, which are an Americanizing version of it, are not going to draw in any new fans.
I don't think they are.
So how is changing to all American rules going to draw in any more fans?
Well,
I'm not saying
that will either.
The NFL product is still there.
I'm not saying it will either, Duke.
So you think the league's going to go extinct regardless?
It's a dumb question.
Disagree. I think it's a good question. Over to the Oilers. They are back at it tonight. Preseason contest out in Winnipeg. Not very many regulars expected to play for the Oilers. They will, of course, have to meet the veteran minimum. But outside of that, pretty light lineup. On the Jets side of things, a few veterans confirmed to be playing, including, I believe, Jonathan Taves. You mentioned a little earlier on, Kev. For the Oilers, the goaltending, whoever it is playing, will be the number one thing to watch in tonight's game. Should be a bit of an outmatched team, I think, when you look at maybe how the lineups are assembled.
You know, I was thinking that, but Cal Pickard played. He dressed the other night, right? He dressed? Did he? Yeah.
In the home game?
I think so. I got to check.
Where Tompkins played the whole contest? Because I know Day and Janssen split in Calgary, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I got to, you know why? Just because the only reason why, Duke, is, he's a Winnipeg guy. So maybe.
That makes sense.
I don't know if Cal goes tonight. I have no idea. And I'm getting so many texts right now on my own phone that's blowing up here. So, sure, goaltending. And I mean, there's another guy I watched yesterday is Janssen. And they had a drill at the very end, and I stood behind the net. I was watching his angles. I wanted to see.
Is he what size is this guy?
He's a 6'3" guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a 6'3" guy. But I wanted to see his angles a little more than anything. I thought they were off a bit, to be honest with you. It was a simple drill.
Is this his first year in North America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that has something to do with
I would think that would be if you're moving from European ice, the angles would change a lot in zone play, I guess. I thought Matt Tompkins played really well in that game. And memory might be deceiving me here, but that was the game they lost, the 3-2 contest in the split squad. But I actually liked what I saw. And, with the loss of Olivier Rodrigue, although I think he's back from the KHL already.
Janssen played in Calgary.
Split with Day.
So 12 saves for Janssen, 8 for Day. And Tompkins played, I believe, the whole game here.
Yeah,
Duke.
That's right. So whoever who plays, I think there's a couple things to keep tabs on because it's organizational depth, right? Like the Oilers, they don't have a clear cut, I think, number one at the AHL level.
So again, maybe Pickard sees some time here.
Maybe.
Again, goes back and plays half the game because it's in his hometown. I don't know.
Why not?
But I'll go in. Yes, sure.
Monday Night Football wrapping up week 3 in the NFL last night. The Lions, they ran wild over the Ravens, 200 plus yards between the two backs, couple scores each for Montgomery and Gibbs. And despite a slow start, they kind of looked pretty clearly outmatched week 1 against Green Bay. I'm thinking the Lions look every much the Super Bowl contender they were last season when they touted the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, I'm going to be in on this one too. When it was 21-21, I thought, okay, depending on who's going to take control of this game is almost taking control of possibly the division that they're in. We saw Green Bay lose, right? So Detroit now, same record, same thing with Baltimore. You look what's going on there. Now they're chasing a little bit. I just loved everything about Detroit yesterday in the last 18 minutes of the game. So I'm going to be in 100 per.
Finally, this day, 1962, Kevin's youth.
Yes.
The Jetsons premiering ABC's first color TV series. That was a surprising little tidbit I stumbled across in compiling this question. First color TV series on ABC. Great collection of throwback cartoons to not only Kevin's childhood, but even my own and through the 90s and things. The best throwback cartoon. I'm going with the classic, the iconic, the forever lasting Looney Tunes.
So this is like the Bugs Bunny at the very beginning, the whole bit. Well, I got to be in.
Bugs, Daffy, Elmer Fudd.
Yosemite Sam.
Right.
Foghorn
Leghorn, classic.
Oh, yeah. If you had to pick out of all those, who would be your favorite, Duke?
Favorite in what way?
Well-
like which one in a when a skit would come up or a scene or
Like,
whatever
how
that I
many-
was most excited to see would be in it, like that I think I
Yeah.
would like the most?
Well, I guess that too. How many times would you, when you
Is Wile E. Coyote.
Wiley? Okay, fair.
Always hilarious. Or I think Elmer Fudd. You just like to see them get bested by their counterparts.
You know, like even when you talk about Foghorn Leghorn, how many times did someone I say boy? You
Yeah,
know, like, it gets that, you know, and same with who you just mentioned too. There's that who did you say?
Elmer Fudd.
Elmer Fudd. So yeah, be quiet. Everyone does that one,
Yeah.
right? You know. So I'm gonna say for sure best throwback cartoon.
It's Wabbit season.
Yeah, it is loony. And how many times when you see someone wear the red and black plaid jacket?
Oh,
Hey, Elmer,
well,
how you,
yeah,
Elmer, how you doing? Big guy?
That's what you call Connor Alley.
Yeah, how's it going there, Elmer?
Flintstones.
Oh,
Great one. The Jet. I didn't really recall watching very much Jetsons as a kid. Much more Flintstones, I think. I liked White Fang.
Yeah,
I was on Saturday mornings.
Oh, how about Sinbad the Sailor Man?
That you always bring that up. I've never seen that. In my
man,
life.
you gotta find an episode of that. Sinbad the Sailor Man. Why are you looking at me like that, Josh?
You never
gotta
seen it
find
either,
it. You
Josh?
never seen it
Josh,
either?
has Josh ever even seen like the Looney Tunes?
Oh, probably not.
Yes, I've seen the Looney Tunes. What do you take me for? Some common street person? No.
Well, I think everyone's seen the Looney Tunes.
Everyone's seen the Looney Tunes.
But like, because they're still making new versions of it. Like that's still on TV.
Yeah.
New episodes.
Yeah, it is. I'm out, however. Tom and Jerry, the way to go.
Nah, that was
Tom and
too
Jerry.
predictable.
I love Tom and Jerry. They just get into shenanigans.
I want you guys to check out Sinbad the Sailor Man.
All right, just for you, Kev, I
Yeah,
will.
I want you to, and you'll watch him pull that belt, and you'll see, man.
Shout out to the 40s.
No, probably 70s.
I'm seeing a 1936 film, Popeye meets Sinbad the Sailor.
Oh my God, I drilled it.
Popeye's,
No.
Popeye's good
You got
too.
Did you do Sinbad the Sailor Man cartoon?
Yeah,
There
I
you go.
bring this up and all I'm see. Okay, I see one here. He looks like Captain Hook before he
pulls
got the crocodile
Yeah.
to bite his arm up. But then all the other ones are Sinbad beating up Popeye,
There you go.
squeezing him till he's red.
Good stuff, Duke. I wish I had more time to expand on question number 2. Maybe we'll talk about that in the last segment. When we come back, Dean Brown, Ottawa Senators play-by-play man. We'll talk about this young up-and-coming team that could be on the brink here to push the big boys in the Atlantic. That's coming up. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne on Sports 1440, and we're streaming on YouTube and X.
When you have lifting and material handling needs, Northwest Crane delivers. Western Canada's Sandy dealer, backed by the industry's toughest one. 3 years, 3,000 hours, no compromises. They service all crane makes and models with skilled technicians and deep industry expertise. Alberta owned with locations in Leduc and Grand Prairie and fully equipped service trucks. Northwest Crane keeps your operation lifting. For more information on sales or service, visit northwestcrane.com or call today.
At Fountain Tire, get up to 25% off select tires, up to $125 off a set of 4 select Goodyear tires, and $50 off $150 service until October 18th. Restrictions apply. Book today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
Sports 1440 is your front row seat to the wild world of sports. Local legends, national headlines, and everything in between. Your game, your station. This is Sports 1440.
It's happened again, and construction season is in full swing. Job delayed, money lost, and clients disappointed because your rigging failed and it wasn't inspected. Don't let this happen to you. Have your lifting slings, fittings, hoisting tools, and safety harnesses checked with Titan Supply. Titan Supply offers certified on-site and in-house rigging inspections and service, so they can repair it, replace it, and recertify it. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary, and at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Score an A+ deal on 5G Ultra Home Internet from Explore. Switch to incredible internet speeds and get a $100 gift card for a limited time. Upgrade today at explore.ca.
Coming up on Icy Road Drivers, Canadians face the repercussions of an early frost. Will this be a bump in the road, bring a stop to their journey, or did they get an early reminder? that it was time to beat the rush and schedule an expert service appointment at their local Toyota dealer. Because it's time to swap those tires, get that oil checked, and store those summer tires until warm days return. Book your appointment today and ready your Toyota for the road ahead.
Just in time for the morning skate. This is the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program. 10:20 in Edmonton, and time to talk a little Ottawa Senators hockey with their play-by-play man, Dean Brown. Morning, Dean. You're with Kevin Karius once again. Thanks for jumping on Sports 1440 again. Really appreciate it this morning.
No problem.
So, we've been talking about this team for a while here in these parts, Dean. Nobody knows them better than you. Finished 1 point back of Florida last year, as you know. Are they ready to take this next step this year, do you feel?
I think they are. It's a tough division that they're in, with the defending champions being at the top of that list, and Toronto and Tampa. And, they're in a tough division. But I think obviously making the playoffs last year and losing to Toronto, being down 3-0 in the series and coming back, was certainly a big thing for them. And you get over that hump of thinking of yourself as a playoff team. But I really think they are ready to make that next move. And I think probably, Kevin, the biggest thing for me is they didn't make a lot of moves in the offseason because they think their growth will be internal. Mm-hmm. And I would agree with that, simply because most of their core players are all entering their prime years all at the same time. Like, if you look at the ages of this team, with the exception of Tim Stützle, who's still just 23, and Claude Giroux, who's 36 or 37. But every one of the other core guys in this team are all now entering the 25, 26, 27. And in the NHL, I think now core age is 25 to 31, I think, by and large. So, the bulk of their team, the bulk of their better players are all hitting their prime all at the same time.
Everyone knows, Dean, that Brady Tkachuk's the heartbeat of this squad. Can he learn a little bit from what he's done in the past here? As you said, he's coming into his prime, one of those guys. Is he ready to take that next step too, to be like a true, kind of a star in this league?
Yeah, I think so. And I have to be honest with you. I think that, in a lot of circles, he already is. If you talk to any team and you ask them about, a player who has the potential to get, 80 points, 90 points, and over 100 penalty minutes, and play on your power play with all your best players, but also be a guy that'll drop the gloves and, all different sides of the ice, and be a guy who's perennially top 5 in the league in hits. So he's an uber physical guy. He's a very big guy. Those guys in this league now are extremely rare. Guys who are that size with that kind of inclination, who are all also offensive. That's a small group. So if Brady Tkachuk was ever on the market, there'd be 32 teams looking at him, including the one he's on. So I think the Four Nations thing last year, for those who might have been on the fence wondering, what Brady is going to be, I think that kind of settled it. So, I think now for most teams, he is considered a star, and he certainly is the biggest star on this team. He isn't the most talented, skilled player, as far as puck skills go. That's still Tim Stützle, but there's no question he's the most important player on this team.
Yeah, totally agree. Dean Brown with us, Sens play-by-play man. And, he was very emotional when, one of his best buddies, Josh Norris, got traded, as you know, Dean. How do you think that trade's going to pan out more this year, with Dylan Cousins being able to, settle in and maybe just have a little more time and familiarity under his belt?
I think that's a big thing. Coming over the trade deadline for him or any other player is all about assimilation, and that's not as easy as people think it is. They think a hockey player is just a movable piece. Well, it's not that way, because real life gets in the way of that. You're moving, joining guys you've never met before. In some cases, it had only been a week since you played against them and hated them, and now you're in the middle of their locker room, and you have to have that ability to learn a new system uber quickly and get used to it, and where it's a natural thing, and that's almost never the case. And so this year, Cousins is a guy that walks into camp knowing everybody, knows the system, knows the coaches. They know him, knows his teammates. And so he's just a lot more settled. And I think in the case of Dylan, coming from Buffalo, they hadn't made the playoffs. Well, now 14 years, but when he was there, they hadn't made the playoffs in 13 years. And I think he brought with him a lot of scar tissue because he talked about the fact that, he was a first round draft pick of that team, and he prided himself on being one of the guys that was going to be the bedrock that lifted Buffalo back into a playoff caliber team. And it never happened. And I think he felt some personal responsibility for that because he thought he was going to be and wanted to be one of the guys that did that. And so, he came with some scar tissue when he got to Ottawa. And I have a friend who works in Buffalo, and as soon as the trade happened, I called to kind of get the lay of the land. And he said, "You know what, Dean?" He said, "The best thing for Dylan Cousins will be when he gets there for Brady just to put his arm around his shoulder and say, 'You're here. It's different. There's a different thing here. And, we are going to the playoffs, and you're going to be in the playoffs, and you're going to be an important guy.'" But he really needed someone to, help with the emotional stuff as well as the hockey stuff. And so I think he is going to be, a big impact being able to walk into this season as a Senator, not be a guy that joins as a Senator after the trade deadline.
Yeah, you mentioned that leadership angle, Dean, with Brady Tkachuk, but how much does a guy like Brady or whoever lean on guys like Claude Giroux or even David Perron for that matter?
They do a lot, and I'm not sure it's as much guys walking over and asking them questions. It's just paying attention to what they do, how they talk, and what they talk about. Like both are very in Perron and Claude Giroux, both very outspoken guys. They're not the guys who are not going to say anything. That perennial. He's a good leader, but he leads with his game. Doesn't really talk very much. Both Perron and Claude Giroux are vocal guys, and they both have so much experience, and they both understand the game, and they understand where young guys fit in the game, and they understand the things to say around them and to them that can help them see where they need to go and where their careers need to be and what they are within the whole scheme of things. And so those two guys are, obviously they're closer to the ends of their career than they are the beginning. But on a team like this, like I mentioned earlier, with so many guys going into their prime, those guys and the impact they can have is a huge thing. And I said when they originally signed Claude Giroux, when he signed, he was, I think, the number 3 faceoff guy in the entire league. And last year he was the number 1 faceoff guy in the entire league. And I said, well, I don't know how you create a graph that tells you what the financial, side of it is. But I said, if he makes all the other Ottawa forwards, all the other Ottawa centers 5%, 7% better in the faceoff circle, what's that worth? If he never makes another speech, if there's no leadership contribution, what's the value to the franchise if he, through his tutoring at practice, which he does all the time, helps all the other centers become 5 to 7% better, take a 43% guy, now he's a 50% guy. Like, what's that worth? That's a huge value to an organization. And then you add on the fact that he is very good at understanding and having a good perspective in the game that he can pass along, and he's willing to do that.
Dean Brown, our guest on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440, Ottawa Senators play-by-play man. Well, Jake Sanderson's where I'd like to go next with you, Dean. And you've seen this guy for just a couple of years in the early parts of his career, but I'm sure you're like everyone else. You get dazzled and watch some of his great feats on the ice, and I'm sure you're the same way when the sky's the limit for a guy that's 22, 23 years old here.
Yeah, it really is. And, it's a great thing for our league. But the only thing for Jake Sanderson is that could be kind of disappointing is he is going to be, and he's right on the verge of it right now. He's right on the edge. He's an elite defenseman and a great defenseman, but he's right on the verge of being a Norris caliber defenseman. But unfortunately, he's in the Cale Makar era. So, it's kind of everybody lines up, after him and Hughes, and that might not put Jake Sanderson at the top of everyone's heap. But he's a guy that I think in probably a year or two is going to be in most people's top 5 or top 10. I looked at who Team USA has coming to their Olympic camp and who might likely make their final Olympic roster. And I looked at who they have, and I see Jake Sanderson as a 4 or a 5 in his first foray into that national team mode. And I think that's probably where he stands. He's an exceptional skater, an exceptional player. And he is literally not close to his prime years yet. Like, he still has a lot of growth in his game, and he's already an outstanding defenseman. And I think the other thing too is, as far as perception goes around the league, I think he's another guy where that Four Nations tournament really helped him with people who don't see him a lot to understand what level he can play at. And I think that did a great service to him, having others around the league see him in that kind of a context and go, oh, wow. Like, I'd heard he was a really good skater, but there's so much more to his game. So I think kind of right now, that's kind of where he is. But again, he's one of those guys where, as a young player, he's already a great player, and he's just going to get better.
Where are the Senators at for guys that are going to be on the Olympic teams for their respective countries, Dean? Just, I know it's months away, but is it 3, 4 guys, 5?
Yeah, maybe something like that. Brady Tkachuk's obviously on Team USA. Shane Pinto got invited to the Team USA camp. I think that was more of a thank you for the other service that he's done, and just putting himself, again, he's a guy that I think, especially with his role playing, being a third line player, being a role player and a shutdown forward, really caught the eye of a lot of people. So he got added to the list. I'm not sure he'll make the Olympic team, but there's some other guys on the team that probably are going to have looks. Matt and Palo, a young defenseman, was on the Finnish team for the Four Nations, so there's a chance. I think probably the biggest surprise here was that Linus Ullmark was not added to Team Sweden for the World Championships. He was available, obviously, and they said they already had their goaltenders and weren't looking for one. So for a guy who, in most polls, they put Linus Ullmark, a former Vezina Trophy winner, in the top 10 in goaltenders in the league, to not get invited by his country to the World Championships. That raised a few eyebrows, so we'll have to see where that goes. But Ottawa, like a lot of teams, will have a handful of players at the Olympics. And, here in Ottawa, that's always a very nervous conversation because, way back when, in 2007, when this team was going to face Anaheim in the Stanley Cup final that year, they lost Dominik Hasek, playing for the Czech Republic at that time, before it was Czechia, got injured, never played again for Ottawa. So the goaltender they got to take them to the Stanley Cup wasn't available for the Stanley Cup because of an injury he suffered at the Olympics. So, that's, here in Ottawa, anytime any good player from the Senators going to the Olympics gets mentioned, people always go, yeah, but remember the Hasek thing. Like, this could be a good thing, or this could be a very bad thing. So there's scar tissue in the fan base when it comes to those conversations.
Dean Brown with us on the Kevin Carey Show on Sports 1440. Wanted to mention a player that was traded from Edmonton to Ottawa for Roby Järventie, and that's Xavier Bourgault. Dean played last year with Belleville. He was a first-round draft pick with the Oilers, as you know. What have you seen from him? Is he a guy that can take this next step here, or what?
Well, I'll have to see. Don't know, but I can tell you he's had a very good training camp and a very good preseason. And the AHL coach, David Bell, mentioned during the rookie tournament, which theirs was in Montreal, that he was one of their 3 best players in the entire tournament. So he has had a very good camp. He had a very good tournament. He's still here. There's probably going to be a big cut-down day for this team, probably on Wednesday, because they leave for, I think, 5 days in Quebec City, where they'll play 2 games. So they have 49 guys in camp. They may cut as many as 19 players and get down to a number around 30 for that trip. So it'll be interesting to see where he stands there. But at the very least, what he has done so far is he has put himself within the conversation when there's an injury in the type of role that he would play as a offensive forward. He has now put himself in the conversation amongst the top guys that would be considered for a call-up. I don't believe he's going to be in a position to be able to make this team out of training camp, because it's a pretty set team, to be honest with you, right now. They don't really have any openings unless somebody literally beats somebody out for a spot, because at the end of the day, as much as the game has changed, that part of it has not. If you want a job in the NHL, you have to take somebody else's job, and I'm not sure he's at that level yet. But he has certainly put himself on the map, and he's certainly put himself in the conversation so far. And we'll see what else he can do before the end of main camp. And if he is sent down, which is probably likely, how he does in the AHL and how he's positioned on the call-up list.
What's it been like dealing with Steve Staios? I've known him a long time. We used to do a golf tournament here together, hosting it. What's it been like, handling things on a day-to-day basis for you, Dean, with the general manager?
Well, I don't know how it is for everybody else. Steve is a very serious guy, and he's always got the stern look. And, he's a very, very business-like guy. He gets to it. He's always doing things. But for me personally, it's been outstanding. He and I, you don't know with interpersonal relationships. You never know. But he and I have just kind of clicked. I am fortunate enough to have the ability, whenever I have a question for him, I can just give him a call and ask him the question, and we chat. And he asks me what I think about some things, which I'm, to be honest with you, not all that used to general managers asking what a stupid old radio play-by-play guy thinks. But Steve does. He wants to know, wants to have conversations. So I can tell you, from my perspective, it's been outstanding. And I think maybe I'm biased because I personally like him and we have a good personal relationship. But I think he's done a great job in a whole bunch of areas, most notably stabilizing this whole thing, getting it to a point where you had real evaluations of what had to be done and then go about doing them. And now he's done, I think, a great job in not only having the right kind of people in the right kind of positions and instilling a culture, but also extricating himself from salary cap issues. They've moved things around so that they're not pressed up hard against the cap, and he has some leeway to be able to make some moves later if he needs to. And nowadays in the NHL, sometimes, even with the cap going up, sometimes that's hard to open up some space for yourself to make some moves later. So this year he's managed to be able to do that. So at least from my standpoint, it's been very good. And I think he's done a very, very good job here.
Yeah. Had things not folded away the way they did, he could have been the GM here. You never know how things would have happened.
For sure. And he would have done a great job there too.
Mm-hmm. Senators in Toronto tonight, Dean, for preseason action. What kind of lineup are you expecting here?
Well, not as strong as the one they had on Sunday against Toronto in a game that they lost, and Toronto has a far better lineup. So that's normally the case this early in the preseason, that you don't have close to your best lineup. Like there'll be no Brady Tkachuk tonight. There'll be no Stützle. There'll be no Linus Ullmark. There'll be no Shabbat. Sanderson will play tonight. So they have some good players in the lineup, but not close to what Toronto's roster will be. But as Ottawa found out Sunday, sometimes that matters and sometimes it doesn't, because to be honest with you, in the preseason, especially this early in the preseason, with those veteran players, it really all depends on how high their give a crap meter is. Some veteran players, really are not, all that motivated to go out and really set it on fire this early in the preseason. They know they got to play games and they know they're going to be in the lineup. But, Toronto tonight, for example, is dressing Matthews and Nylander. And, we here in Ottawa, every year they play Toronto at least one or two times in the preseason. And those two for Toronto are notorious for not seemingly caring in any way about their performance in the preseason. So it looks on paper like a lopsided affair, but we've seen a lot of games in the preseason where Matthews and Nylander don't even really want to get off the bench. So sometimes who you look at in the lineup and think it's going to be one way, sometimes it isn't that way. So we'll have to see. But on paper, Toronto definitely has a better lineup than Ottawa tonight. But again, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for this, Dean. We'll see you when you get out here. I think it's not till March, so you don't have to experience anything crazy weather-wise when you come out west. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Kevin.
All right, that's Dean Brown, Ottawa Senators play-by-play man. I believe it's March the 3rd when Ottawa makes its way out here. Right after, that's right after the Olympic break, technically. The Oilers actually, after the Olympic break, played 3 and 4 in Anaheim, LA, and then San Jose on a Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Yikes, that's going to be a tough one. That is going to be a tough one. When we come back, we'll get to some of your texts. 833-401-1440. Bill in Metro has sent something about Sinbad, Sailor Man, Duke, and I'm looking forward to opening this link. I can't wait. I hope it is what I think it is. It's coming up right after the break. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne on Sports 1440, and we're streaming on YouTube and X.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Yeah, can I get a...
yes. A common reaction from a veggie lover. Always scanning, searching, longing. But wait, what is this we see? The new McVeggie, now at McDonald's.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
Every lunchtime, hang with Low Tide. Weekdays from noon to 2 on Sports 1440. Low Tide and Declan Kruger gives you the deep dives, sharp analysis, and Edmonton sports talk done right. Your game, your station, Sports 1440.
While the players gear up for the new season, make sure you gear up your snack game with Will Hawk Beef Jerky.
Okay, this jumbo bag of beef jerky should last the preseason.
Whoa. Will Hawk has more than just beef jerky. There's smoked sausage and pepperoni products, too.
Well, how about we have jerky for Eastern opponents and pepperoni sticks when we face the Western teams?
Now that sounds like a Will Hockey game plan.
Will Hawk Beef Jerky, because you don't win games with salad. Only available in Leduc.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 Triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
The Karius Show, breaking down Edmonton's favorite teams, even though his favorite Junior A hockey team is the Yorkton Terriers. Thanks for checking in with Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 1042 in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne with you on Sports 1440. Josh, the intern, and Sam, the record man. Like that, eh? Not anymore? Well, you're not. I mean, I'm trying to talk to you today. You're not even saying anything.
I don't have I don't have any way to turn my own mic on, Kevin.
I know. Well,
you got to say, Duke, I need to talk to Josh right now. And I'm not
Duke,
an
I
intern
need to
anymore.
talk to
I'm the
Josh right
professional.
now. Oh, well, I don't know after what happened yesterday.
You know what? Everybody stumbles every once in a while. We'll come back stronger than ever.
Are you? Are you going to be like Sinbad the Sailor Man?
Yeah, I have a magical belt that I'm going to tighten up.
I really am looking forward to that.
What was the doctor's name?
I don't know. I just checked that.
Rod Kadam.
Yeah.
That's Mad Doctor backwards. They got really creative with the names for the villains.
Josh Fenwick, Sam, the record man. We're streaming on YouTube and X. New York Giants just reporting, and Adam Schefter, that Russell Wilson's on the bench. Jackson Dart will start at quarterback this Sunday against the Chargers. Is he going to get eaten alive, Duke?
Yeah. He will. I'm a little surprised, not by the change, but by the week in which they decided to make the change, because if I'm not mistaken, next week, the Giants play the New Orleans Saints. Just want to make sure I'm correct in that fact. Week 6, Giants in New Orleans. That to me seems like a good time to get your rookie quarterback in there.
To pick New Orleans to win?
No.
Imagine that.
No. The Giants will win that game.
I don't know.
Jackson Dart probably light it up. Maybe we'll see Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck.
Oh, man.
Spencer Rattler, 0-9 as an NFL starter.
So never mind that, Duke, but you got the Chargers, and their defense is pretty good. They're going to be bringing it. New Orleans, then they play the Eagles, then they're at Denver and at Philadelphia.
We talked about this at the start of the year. The Giants have a tough schedule for how bad they were last year.
Adam Schefter reporting Terry McLaurin, uncertain to play Sunday against Atlanta. Quad injury. Text 833-401-1440. Tiger says, yesterday Josh was amazing compared to how he was on Saturday morning. What happened on Saturday?
I don't know. Nothing happened on Saturday. I was here on time.
3 of you were in here for the setup. Eddie said he was listening. He caught Sam's hot take trying to disparage the proud green and gold franchise. I didn't catch any of it, but I assume it went well.
I thought it went swimmingly. I have no idea what Tiger's talking about.
Really?
I was here on time. I was here on time. I was sitting there.
Wow.
Was my mic not on the entire time?
Good
I don't
for
know.
you, John.
Tiger, I'm going to need you to specify here. Make me look bad in front of Kevin Karius.
No. Playbook Vic texted in a while back, just getting to it. We're talking about the CFL rule changes and such. And he says, start the season sooner as there's little NFL overlap as possible. I think that's now you're talking where that would be the biggest mistake the league could ever make. And the reason why Playbook Vic is in June, late May, going head-to-head with the Stanley Cup playoffs, especially with teams like Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton, sometimes Vancouver. You are not going to draw a lick. You're not going to get any coverage at all. It will go down. So look at attendance in May, June. They say, it gets better as the year goes on. And then you have to compete with and let's be honest, you're not competing with the NFL. The CFL it's on its own. The NFL will crush them like a bug when it comes to TV on Sundays. If you want to go to the game, then go to the game in the CFL and support it that way. But honestly, Playbook Vic, if you move the league up, say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that's not the best move, in my opinion. I would think that they would lose fans because of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Duke, what do you think of that? Yes, no, maybe?
No, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think this, could the season start? Because when is the first week? What?
Of the CFL schedule, you mean?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah.
Okay, for the Elks, they played their preseason in May. Their first week of the CFL season was Saturday, June the 7th. It used to be where the CFL started on basically Canada Day weekend in that area, right?
So you think it should be the inverse, the schedule, or do you like where it's at right now?
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, the players might not like me saying this, but if you look, let me just look at the schedule for the Elks here. So they had a bye week in week 2, a bye week in week 7, and then another bye week coming up here after Saskatchewan. 3 bye weeks. It's too many. And I get it when you have 9 teams. I understand that. 3 bye weeks are too much. So you got to get that down to 2. I understand with 9 teams, but if you start the season in, call it, if you're going to do 2 weeks, that's May 24th. You have another month of Stanley Cup playoffs, at least. I think you're going to get clobbered. Don't see it happening. And they've already, as I said, it used to be where the league started around, end of June. That's week 5 right now. Cam says, KK, you seem so anti-CFL. I don't know if do I sound anti-CFL, Duke?
I think there's a level of frustration with some decisions the league makes and the way they conduct business. And that is a bit of a spillover from our more local angle covering the Elks for the past, in your case, obviously going back to the Eskimo days and many, many years, but specifically since this transition where the team was just not run well in any way. And as a result, the stadium is empty and the team is losing tons of money, and all these factors have you, as a longtime Edmontonian, proponent of the franchise, proponent of the game, frustrated.
Well, and again, for me, it's a lot of it is start time, daytime of the games. I'll never, again, Thursday night in Calgary before the Stampede, that game should be on the schedule forever. Thursday night home opener here, never. Sunday night games at 5:00 here, nah. Sunday night games 7:00 local time in Toronto, Montreal, Hamilton, Ottawa, nah. Doesn't interest me. Oh, Tiger's being a little more transparent here with this. Look at my 9 a.m. text on Saturday. You sounded like an unmade bed.
I went back and read Tiger's text. They basically just said, it seemed like only one of the mics was maybe on for the first little bit of the show.
Yeah, my dad actually said the same thing to me on Saturday in my lovely text to Tiger from Declan Kruger's account. I wasn't running the board, but oh well.
I assume that was young Sam.
He'll figure it out eventually.
That's what he's here for, to learn. And that's the Saturday show. It's a little bit of a free reign. Make some mistakes and learn from them. Learning be the key word.
From the text line, Shane says, and Duke, you can talk about this because of your situation with your apps and all that. Shane says, not sure if this has been said, but a small item I have with the CFL is accessibility to stats online. I agree. He says the Sportsnet app can't click into, again, but you say, Duke, the TSN app is okay?
I've tried all of them because there's a lot of instances where I'm not necessarily watching games live, and whether it be the Elks or other teams. I do think TSN's mobile app, while it has a lot of problems, is the best for CFL-wise. It does seem to update the statistics in the box scores as frequently as anywhere. I know there's been complaints about the Score app, which is a very popular one, not doing it. CFL's website is brutal. It's terrible. I haven't never even opened the CFL tab on Sportsnet, to be very honest, so I'm not sure. But yeah, if people are interested, I think TSN's is the best for CFL specific.
Elks Nation, is it trying to get, as far as the Elks go, right? Like this is a new thing. And I mean, Declan and Eddie and Gregory writes on there too.
Yeah.
Trying to get that going to where it is, I don't know, like not comparable, but I mean, trying to get that going, and that creates awareness. That creates some clicks, some people going online,
trying to generate new fans. People hear them talk about it and say, I'll check this out. And they watch the game, and hopefully they pick a good one to watch and they like it. And they're back again the next week. Then maybe buying a ticket to go to a game, and it's just a snowball effect. You got to start somewhere.
Don't have a name on this one. If you maybe we'll get a name on it, but talking about start the season in later April again, you're just killing yourself going up against the NHL. Hey, look who's coming into the building, Cam Tate. Wow. Look at that. That is an Elmer Fudd shirt if I've ever seen one, Duke. That is an Elmer Fudd if I've ever. Wow, looking sharp, Tater. Looking good, big guy. EG says, sorry, guys, if I missed it. What do you think of the pods deal? Duke loves it. He thought 2.5. It's 2.95 for Podkolzin, as we said about a half an hour ago. I have to mention, too, and I believe that, where am I looking at? Pierre Lebrun was saying the extension will pay a $1 million signing bonus each year, $1.95 million in salary each year, totaling $2.95 AAV per season. And of course, this kicks in next season. He's got one more year left, put Colson at $1 million. But as we said, Leon loves playing with Put Colson on his left side. This is, he's only 24 years old, only 24. Had, what was it, 14 or 15 goals in Vancouver, Duke, before he came? So I think a lot of fans are going to like this contract. And now he settles in here. And I mean, he's an engaging guy, very well liked, sticks up for his teammates, isn't scared to drop the flippers, hits. And to be honest, like, I mean, when Leon plays with him and Kapanen, that line's a bit of a force. And those are two guys you'd go, come on, Leon's playing with Kapanen and put Coles in. I thought we just went out and got Arvidsson and Skinner to play with Leon. So sometimes it doesn't work out the way you think. Sometimes it does. Coming up at the top of the hour, it is Fantasy Frenzy with
the former Rochep T-Bird,
Connor Halley and the Duke of Delburne. At 12 o'clock, it's the Lowdown with Alan Mitchell. 2 till 6, Jason Greger drives us home with the Jason Greger Show. Before all that, time now for a Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. No, actually, it's First Round. I already did Sherbrooke Liquor. Sorry about that. Brought to you by First Round. And I got to mention, Mark Lever sent me a text because we were talking about the rugby game on Saturday. First Round's going to be open downtown 9 a.m. on Saturday. That's when the game is, Josh. 9 a.m. on Saturday for the World Cup final, the women taking on England. This Sports 1440 update brought to you by First Round, and Sunday's got even better. At First Round, you can win an NFL helmet or jersey. Enjoy the Pro Bowl brunch only at Edmonton's NFL headquarters, First Round downtown on Bourbon Street as well. Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thanks for texting in. Thanks for being a part of the show. Hope you have a fabulous rest of your Tuesday. We're back here tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock with David Schlemko, our co-host for Cougar Paint and Collision. Before all that, here's a Sports 1440 update. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Here is the Duke.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers announced this morning an extension for forward Vasily Podkolzin, 3-year deal carrying a AAV of $2.95 million per season. The 24-year-old forward played all 82 games last year, notching 8 goals and 16 assists, at 3 goals, 7 helpers in 22 playoff games. In the NHL tonight, preseason action has the Oilers out in Winnipeg taking on the Jets. Puck drop there coming just after 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Elsewhere, Maple Leafs hosting the Senators. Blackhawks taking on the Red Wings. Habs host the Flyers. And the Calgary Flames just down the highway welcome in the Seattle Kraken. Full set of games in the majors today, including the Blue Jays opening a set against the Red Sox for their final homestand of the regular season. First pitch coming just after 5. Lucas Giolito will go for the Bo Sox, while Kevin Gausman will counter for the Bluebirds. Elsewhere, pivotal AL Central matchup kicking off between the Guardians and the Tigers. Mets are in Chicago against the Cubs. Mariners hosting the Rockies. And an AL East matchup between the Rays and the Orioles. Yankees hosting the White Sox just after 5 o'clock. New York Giants benching quarterback Russell Wilson will start Jackson Dart for their Week 4 game against the LA Chargers. Dart, first overall pick, 25th overall in this past spring's draft. Coming up on Sports 1440, it is Fantasy Frenzy with Hallie and Douglas. I'm Brandon Douglas. That's your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton.
Eat supper, go to town, and stay all night at a meeting of the school board. So God made a farmer.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. We are so thankful God made a farmer. For the month of September, it is our goal to feed 500 families. With every vehicle sold, we will feed a family of 4. So please help us reach our goal. Visit us online at northgategm.com.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
I'm Rick Showers from Noble RV, and I want to explain how our operation works. You see, over at the new RV store, they take orders and try to sell them all by camping season, and sometimes they sell out early. Sometimes they're stuck with a few that just won't move, and maybe they take a couple of used ones on trade. At No Bull, it's a whole different ballgame.
You have inventory arriving all the time, right, Rick?
That's right, Bob. The RVs at No Bull are here on consignment. Folks choose to sell their RVs with us because the customers are already here.
And you specialize in used RVs.
Better believe it, Bob. The new RV stores are not that interested in used models. And nobody in Alberta has more quality used RVs than we do, not by a long shot. So if you want to sell yours fast, come to where the buyers are. And that's here.
And that's no